A guaranteed death trap with stats that are absolute trash. Who would dare bet their life on a gamble like this? But I refuse to believe in fate. I'll never back down in this lifetime. Right now, I'm brazenly charging into the Demon Lord's territory under the prestigious title of Steel Elector, challenging the white-haired old Demon Lord ranked 7th among all Demon Lords. Today, he's my opponent. I'm gathering all my strength, running through the 12 forms of Imperial swordsmanship in my mind, preparing to pour every ounce of my life force into a single strike that'll pierce the heavens. But the next second, I got disconnected. The server literally crashed. The white-haired old Demon Lord sneered coldly, saying I'm full of openings. A sword edge like blacklight stabbed straight toward me, but I was frozen in place from the disconnect, unable to move an inch. With a sharp crack, he slit my throat. I actually got defeated just like that. A chaotic clamor of voices suddenly yanked me back to reality. Turns out someone accidentally unplugged my network cable. I immediately grabbed him by the collar, roaring in fury about how he ruined my crucial match. I was about to beat the hell out of the guy in front of me when I realized it was an old acquaintance coming to find me again, going on and on about those old titles of mine, like Hanamdong Problem Solver and the maniac who fell into a money pit. To put it bluntly, I used to be a good-for-nothing playboy without an ounce of integrity. But how could they possibly understand all those shitty things I desperately did back then? Looking back at them now, they're simply not worth mentioning. What truly changed me was this game Human Guardians, a virtual world created by the super AI Great God Grid. I myself have never even flipped through a fairy tale book, but this single-player RPG's vast world is to me a genuine magical realm. The stories of characters from various races have already drawn me in deep, unable to extricate myself, and those achievements of gradually climbing to the peak completely transformed my former money-obsessed nature. To fully immerse myself in it, I gritted my teeth and borrowed a huge sum, buying that game pod worth 1 billion won at market price. Thinking about it now, I really am an absolute lunatic. Suddenly someone darkened their face and questioned whether I was going to be so disrespectful to people who invested in my gaming. But they forgot. The secrets I helped them keep weren't few either. Secretly playing golf behind their wives' backs, running side businesses for extra cash behind the company's back, and someone who's been chasing virtual streamers for a whole decade. I never leaked a single word of any of these. Before I could finish, the other party's face flushed red, turning the question back on me about how it's acceptable to borrow 1 billion to play games. I rolled my eyes, and they quickly waved their hands to explain, saying that's not what they meant, saying with just the meager fees I earn from writing game guides, how could I possibly pay back a debt of 1 billion? I sheepishly opened my bank book. The balance showed a pitiful 4,001, and the interest on those debts had already snowballed bigger and bigger. Seeing this, everyone started advising me to go back to my old line of work, saying I was at least Hanamdong's top problem solver. Why waste away in a game? But I can't quit. I haven't seen the ending of this game yet. That true ending no one has seen since the game's release. That's the most meaningful tribute I can give to this world. Later, I finally managed to send away all those debt collectors, quickly shut and locked the door behind me, then hurriedly rushed back to my seat in front of the game pod, and restarted the game. Human Guardians game start. The familiar scene of Bayern Cathedral instantly appeared. Then the game system announced that the death penalty for the Steel Elector character was 22 hours of inactivity. I was clearly forced disconnected. How am I supposed to write guides and earn money to pay debts now? An abrupt voice interrupted my bottled-up frustration. I whirled around in shock. A young-looking girl was slowly walking toward me. I instinctively blurted out, asking who she was. She introduced herself as the Great God Grid AI, the game master of Human Guardians. I scoffed. With that little kid appearance, she dares call herself Game Master? But she just calmly said that appearance is merely superficial. I raised an eyebrow, so it's a personal preference, huh? The next second, she just lightly snapped her fingers. My eyes went wide. Could this be the legendary SS rank time-stop magic? But the Great God Grid AI chuckled lightly, saying this wasn't any skill at all, just temporarily shutting down the server. She then mentioned the game's 7th anniversary celebration event. A notification suddenly popped up. PM 12:000 New World has opened. The Great God Grid AI immediately continued, saying she wanted me to use a brand new character in the new world to become the first person to complete the game. After hearing this, I muttered to myself, I haven't even fully completed the old world, and she's talking about being the first to clear the new world. This woman must be crazy. But before I finished grumbling internally, the eye-catching figure of 25 billion won in prize money hit me right in the face. The Great God Grid AI said as long as I could get the new world first clear, that 25 billion would be mine, and if I challenged it now, there'd be an extra surprise. With that, she transferred 30 million won into my bank account. She explained it was because I'm a top-tier VIP game user with her. I immediately thought to myself, this is too amazing. No matter how you calculate it, it's a guaranteed profit. Only an idiot would refuse such a good deal. I immediately decided to participate. The Great God Grid AI smiled and praised me, saying I'm worthy of being the #1 ranked player. She specifically reminded me that the new world holds crucial clues to the true ending I've been longing for, telling me to personally search for them in the secret realm. Then she began chanting an obscure incantation in a low voice. The surrounding space-time suddenly began to distort, as a glowing blue light appeared above her head. The familiar game world instantly vanished without a trace. The next second, I felt dizzy and disoriented, instantly transported to an unfamiliar space. Before my eyes stood a shimmering portal, radiating brilliant light. She softly informed me this was the only entrance to the new world. Once opened, it would officially count as entering the game. I grinned with a confident smile of certain victory. Without hesitation, I reached out to push the door, even shouting for her to prepare the 25 billion prize money in advance, then rushed joyfully toward the true ending. But just as I crossed the threshold, I heard her sly chuckle, saying she forgot to tell me that in this event, if the game character dies, you die in reality too. My mind went boom, as if thunder exploded inside it. The next second, my body suddenly lost all support. After crashing heavily to the ground, searing pain drilled through my bones. This is clearly a game, how can it hurt this real? Could what that woman said be true? But even knowing in advance that I'd die, I'd still charge forward without hesitation, simply because deep in my heart I stubbornly hope to personally create a perfect ending. The real life or death game has only just begun. I shuffled a few steps in the forest before my whole body gave out. Opening my attribute window, I nearly fainted from anger. What garbage character is this? Only 20 stamina points, and magic power is only 3 points. With this kind of trash character, I want to unlock the perfect ending? Fantastic. Fortunately, I had already devoured the complete survival diary beforehand. I just need to follow the knowledge in my head to find a water source and quench my urgent thirst. Sure enough, I hadn't gone far before finding a stream. I dragged my weak and aching body, shuffling slowly toward the riverbank. Not caring about my image, I dove headfirst into the water. But just as I caught my breath, I suddenly noticed movement ahead. I jerked my head up and saw a bathing beauty standing right there. My HP dropped 1 point without warning, and the system indicated I was in an excited state. I clicked my tongue internally. What level of divine figure is this? I couldn't help drooling at the sight. Just as I was about to shift my gaze to the key parts, suddenly the system popped up requiring purchase of exclusive DLC to continue viewing. I nearly jumped up on the spot in shock. I'm a top-tier, very important person and still have to buy DLC? While complaining internally about this ridiculous paywall, a teasing voice reached my ears. They said in unison that the little guy's back view is paid content. At first, I thought it was a different notification sound and hurriedly asked how much money I needed to unlock it. The next second, I was bound tight with magic ropes and thrown heavily into a den. Just as I was grimacing in pain, 5 familiar figures appeared before me. The red-haired witch bent down and coldly told me to be quiet. After she turned around, a concerned voice interjected, asking if I was okay. I sat up and looked over while enduring the pain. It was a burly man. He scratched the back of his head and introduced himself, saying he was a professional monster hunter who accidentally wandered into the witch forest, then asked why I came here. I couldn't very well say my spawn point was here, so I vaguely said I had reasons. Seeing how young I was, he sighed and said I was a pitiful person. I immediately straightened my back, saying I'm an expert at handling this kind of situation. His eyes instantly lit up, pressing to ask if I had a way to escape. I patted my chest and confidently nodded, replying, of course I do. I was secretly pleased with myself. After all, this exclusive strategy guide for the 5 witches was something I stayed up 3 whole days and nights to write. They rely on their status as early game bosses to run rampant in the newbie area and have already slain over 1,000 players. Their reputation is already notorious, but in my eyes, they're basically just a ragtag bunch. The monster hunter stared at me, couldn't help asking why my expression looked so strange. I was about to answer him when the system suddenly popped up a quest prompt, a hidden quest to provoke the short-haired witch. That's exactly what I intended anyway, so I loudly said to the witch group that the red-haired witch said she'd kill the short-haired witch. The red-haired witch's face instantly darkened, while the short-haired witch exploded on the spot. The system indicated success. I laughed internally. Just exploiting the short-haired witch's hatred for the red-haired witch makes this a piece of cake. I quickly continued adding fuel to the fire, saying the red-haired witch hoped that trash like the short-haired witch would die early and hand over her fortune. Hearing this, the short-haired witch's eyes immediately blazed with fury, demanding harshly if that's really what she said. The red-haired witch forced herself to stay calm and refuted, telling her not to be provoked by me. I changed tactics, looking at the red-haired witch and praising how beautiful she is, saying she has money with nowhere to spend it anyway, might as well give it all to me. This struck right at her covetous desire for the short-haired witch's fortune. The system again indicated successful provocation of the red-haired witch. The green-haired witch beside her showed no tact, chiming in that they already couldn't stand each other anyway. The gray-haired witch foolishly echoed along, muttering about how fighting shouldn't delay dinner. The silver-haired witch immediately perked up, excitedly shouting she wanted to join the fight too. The system dinged, indicating successful provocation of all 5 witches. The 5 witches instantly descended into chaos. Actually, these 5 witches look like a team but have 0 unity. It's precisely because no one figured this out that frontal assaults got people killed. And to deal with these people, a divide and conquer strategy couldn't be more suitable. I looked at the monster hunter and whispered that we should escape while they're distracted. He looked at me with complete admiration, saying I'm really amazing. Before leaving, I suddenly yanked away the red carpet. The 5 witches who lost their balance, instantly fell into the large cauldron of brewing potions. Then I pointed out the exit to the monster hunter. The system kept popping up notifications that the witches were taking damage. Thanks to their stupidity, I also raked in quite a bit of experience. But before I could celebrate for long, the system indicated I was bound by the short-haired witch's snakes. The short-haired witch behind me roared that I was cunning, and even if she died, she'd drag me down with her. I cursed internally, damn it. I struggled with all my might, but to no avail. I forgot that this current character is complete trash. At the critical moment, the monster hunter immediately drew his blade to help, skillfully swinging his sword to cut the venomous snakes wrapped around me. I breathed a sigh of relief, thanked him, then asked if he could lend me his bow. He was stunned for a moment, then cheerfully handed over the bow and arrows. I gritted my teeth and struggled to pull back the bowstring, aiming at the green bottle hanging on the wall, then steadily released the arrow. That bottle shattered instantly upon impact. The red-haired witch immediately cried out in alarm, screaming, "That won't do. That's a powerful acid bomb." The short-haired witch had no time to dodge and was instantly hit by the splashing acid. The witches wanted to escape but couldn't, all wrapped in acid, letting out piercing screams. Finally, there was a loud boom of a violent explosion. The monster hunter poked his head out, asking if it was over. I quickly waved my hands, urgently saying, "Don't jinx it," until the system dinged. Achievement unlocked, witches ain't nothing. 5 witches defeated, total experience plus 323,760. Achievement points plus 5,000. Only then did I completely relax, telling the monster hunter it was over. Looking at the system interface, I sighed to myself about having good luck since the newbie period. The monster hunter beside me had a face full of post-disaster gratitude, saying he really didn't know how to thank me. Then he pulled out an item from his pack, insisting on giving it to me as a thank you gift. The system immediately popped up a notification that I successfully obtained the rare item Red Dragon Fruit. I was shocked internally to have this kind of treasure at the opening stage. The monster hunter explained that the fruit looked quite precious, so he secretly took some from the witch's den. I thanked him profusely, grabbed the bag and dumped everything into my mouth. Hey, my ability values visibly increased. Originally, with my trash tier stats, I wouldn't dare dream of this speed of improvement. I really hit the jackpot. The monster hunter looked me over and suddenly asked if I was interested in hunting monsters. I was still leisurely chewing the fruit flesh residue in my mouth, but the monster hunter had already taken the initiative to invite me to team up with him. I glanced at the system notification. It showed that the fate route with the monster hunter had opened. I quickly swallowed the remaining fruit flesh in my mouth, then waved apologetically at the monster hunter, saying I still had important matters to handle. Watching the monster hunter's gradually receding figure, a flash of inspiration suddenly struck me. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. After all, if I just let all that experience I just gained go to waste, it'll automatically reset after 1 month. Might as well take this chance to quickly level myself up. I hurriedly called after him, asking if I could just train with him for 3 months. The monster hunter raised an eyebrow and joked, asking if it wasn't supposed to be 3 years. I said nothing more and quickly caught up with his steps. We walked together deep into the forest before he finally stopped. He told me to first go find some random place to hide, then come find me after 30 minutes. I thought to myself, this must be the monster tracking skill from the hunter's abilities. The progress is faster than expected, but he's really underestimating me. I've explored this forest countless times in the old world. I remember the position of every single branch clearly, and those dense trees that make you lose your sense of direction, the poisonous mushroom spores floating everywhere, even the ferocious magical beasts more threatening than the witches. Most situations are already etched in my brain. Plus, with the effects of the red dragon fruit, my physical abilities have nearly reached peak level. How could I be easily found? Just as I was feeling smug, the monster hunter appeared right in front of me without any warning. He enthusiastically gave me a peace sign. My face was full of confusion. I really couldn't figure out how he found me. The monster hunter smiled and teased that seeing my expression, he got a rare taste of the joy of teaching others, then patted my shoulder and said, "Let's work hard together." Immediately after, the system indicated the hidden quest hunter initiation was complete, updating to the new quest hunter's trial. After that, I took the monster hunter as my master, gained the monster hunter profession, and learned herbalism from him. Also mastered intermediate swordsmanship and survival skills, as well as the basic skill of firearm shooting. Even unlocked proficiency level 1 in monster tracking. I couldn't help but grin with a satisfied smile. 3 months passed in a flash. The monster hunter looked completely astonished, never expecting me to learn all the skills so quickly. I raised an eyebrow and suggested he hide first to test my skills. The monster hunter nodded gratified, saying I'm always so motivated, eagerly anticipating my performance. He also made a deal with me that if I couldn't find him within an hour, I'd be responsible for making dinner tonight. I immediately accepted this wager. The monster hunter instantly used his movement technique to leave at high speed. He thought to himself how happy it was to meet such a good disciple at this age, and he couldn't crush my self-esteem too much. So he first chose a relatively easy location, hiding on a cliff face. But he never expected that I had already silently followed behind him, and took advantage of his inattention to reach out and grab his ankle. The monster hunter was shocked and wobbled, completely unprepared that I'd find him so quickly. After steadying himself, he smiled and said, "Let's go another round." round. In the next several rounds, he kept changing to various tricky hiding spots, but I accurately found them all. He said in disbelief that this was a skill he spent 5 years mastering. I'm simply a genius. For the final round, he quietly snuck into a hidden cave, muttering to himself that I definitely wouldn't find this place. After all, this was the den of sleeping hellhounds. No one dared approach lightly. But I suddenly walked out slowly from the shadows of the cave, patted his shoulder, and said hellhounds won't wake up even during an earthquake when they're sleeping. Then asked if I passed. The monster hunter was stunned, then repeatedly praised how amazing I was. I humbly said it was because Master taught well, and he quickly waved his hand saying no, it's because I have talent. But I was secretly pleased inside. This was the Fury skill 5-hit combo. All the experience gained from beating the witches was used to upgrade skills. The monster hunter also praised my dedication, saying I even remembered the magical creature ecosystem knowledge he casually mentioned, but looked puzzled, saying he never mentioned hellhounds' habits, and how did I know? I laughed internally. That's because I'm the author of the magical creature ecosystem. He looked at me with admiration, saying it was his first time seeing someone this amazing. I definitely achieved great things. Then asked what I planned to do next. I spoke frankly. I planned to earn some money first, since everything requires money. The monster hunter's eyes lit up, saying he just happened to have a friend who's still working as a mercenary, and asked if I wanted to try starting as a mercenary. Oh boy, this suggestion is too interesting. The mercenary profession is indeed the most reliable way to make money in the early game, and the key is enough freedom. Plus, with good luck, I might even encounter the mysterious guardians in the game. I immediately decided to become a mercenary. The monster hunter then pulled out an old badge from his chest, saying it was his exclusive mercenary badge from when he was a mercenary. His friend would definitely recognize it at a glance, and he wished me good luck with a smile. I solemnly accepted the badge with both hands and thanked him repeatedly. After bidding farewell to my master, I felt incredibly pleased. Not only did I defeat the witches, I also obtained a formal profession. With such a smooth start, unlocking the perfect ending isn't just a pipe dream. The great God Grid AI's mocking voice suddenly echoed in my mind. I instinctively reached for the game exit button but found I still couldn't press it. That's right, this is a death game where I could die at any moment. But I'm going to fully exploit this extreme sense of tension too. Just wait, great God Grid AI, I will definitely unlock the true ending. Just wait, master, I'll definitely make a name for myself and not disappoint your careful teaching. The system clanged with a notification that the Hidden Quest Hunter's trial was complete, new quest updated to join the Mercenary Corps. And at that moment above the planet, the great God Grid AI laughed so hard she doubled over, saying she never expected me to defeat the witches in such a clever way. She really didn't waste all that time watching me. At this time, a holy figure slowly approached, calmly saying I'm definitely not an ordinary player. The great God Grid AI teasingly asked if I was her type, but the angel coldly responded that she's a divine incarnation, and would never view humans who need care through the lens of worldly romance. The great God Grid AI shrugged indifferently, saying how cute I am. The angel immediately glared at the great God Grid AI, condemning her for being so cruel, having already paid off my debts, yet still pulling me into this life or death struggle. The great God Grid AI remained unconcerned, just casually replied how interesting it is. The angel gazed at my image on the screen, her expression growing more serious, directly stating the great God Grid AI's behavior was extremely deplorable, and pressed whether I was part of her grand plan, or just her momentary entertainment. The great God Grid AI crossed her legs and thought for a moment, then revealed a mysterious smile, saying I'm the star of hope everyone's been waiting for, telling the angel to just wait and see. Back in the new world, I was sitting on the ground gasping for breath. This damn forest is so treacherous. Thank goodness it's me who got out this quickly. But I'm about to reach the town where the Mercenary Corps is located. I can't stop to rest here. I must grit my teeth and keep going. After walking for about another hour, I reached my destination. First walking into a tavern on the street. The server immediately greeted me warmly. I stated my purpose was to find someone. Taverns are the most basic information gathering places in the game after all. Sweet wine, joyful people, and delicious food in all its forms. I could definitely easily collect intel on the Mercenary Corps here. Most importantly, the servers here are all beautiful. But just as I asked the server about the Mercenary Corps leader's whereabouts, the originally lively atmosphere in the tavern instantly grew heavy. The server quickly lowered her voice, indicating I absolutely couldn't mention the leader publicly here. I asked in confusion why not. Another server's face went pale, saying that Mercenary Corps leader is too dangerous. Her boyfriend was taken away by him before, and came back looking like a dried corpse. Similar victims keep appearing in this area. Suddenly, the server beside me anxiously pushed my back hard, urging me to run. Before I fully reacted, I crashed headfirst into a solid embrace. A rough voice suddenly rang out above my head, asking in a deep voice who was looking for him, then introduced himself as the Mercenary Corps leader. After that, he caught sight of the badge pinned to my pants. His eyes immediately lit up, recognizing this as the Monster Hunter's exclusive mercenary badge. Then he burst into hearty laughter, saying I came at the perfect time. He urgently needed battle slay. He caught himself mid-sentence, and quickly corrected. saying he needed reliable comrades, explaining he was just joking just now. After walking out of the tavern with him, I guessed it must be the Steel Elector's army fighting the Broken Horn Demon Lord's army. Although the recruitment method is too domineering, it's actually a good opportunity for me. The Steel Elector is a guardian in this game. If things go smoothly, I can get intel on other guardians through him. Suddenly, a piercing loudspeaker sound cut through the sky. The leader pointed in a direction and said they're here. The system then popped up a notification, Steel Elector has arrived. I just saw the leader with an envious look, saying if he could stand in that position, he'd definitely look cool. I sighed internally. The feeling of watching from afar is really different. I used to fight as the Steel Elector, now my position is completely different. But seeing the Guardian Steel Elector in person, why does he seem to radiate villain vibes instead? Calling him Private Tyrant would be more fitting. What shocked me even more was that the Holy Knight actually appeared here too. According to the game's original timeline, she shouldn't appear at this stage at all. Could it be that this New World's timeline has been completely scrambled? The one I secretly called Private Tyrant, the Steel Elector, turned to look at the Holy Knight, his face displeased as he asked her what's wrong. The Holy Knight didn't know what this sudden palpitation was about either. The Steel Elector solemnly instructed her to prepare. Well, they'd reach the battlefield soon. I watched their figures, my heart suddenly filled with mixed emotions. In the previous game, the Holy Knight had always been my most reliable companion, but every time I failed to save her, causing the same tragedy to repeat itself. The leader noticed my distress. I shook my head saying it's nothing, but secretly resolved in my heart that this time, even if it cost me my life, I must achieve the ending where I successfully save her. After that, I followed the leader to his mercenary camp. Just stepping onto the training grounds, I felt the soaring morale inside. The mercenaries sparred in pairs, their moves filled with intense killing intent. I marveled internally. This momentum was practically comparable to Navy SEALs. Just that the swordsmanship training is too monotonous to handle complex battlefield situations. At this point, the system indicated I entered the leader's mercenary corps training area. The leader smiled and said there'd soon be a duel to select group leaders, and they could also gamble some money on the side. I pondered, this is a duel involving both pride and money, but my goal is to make contact with the Steel Elector, better not stand out too much right now. But the leader didn't give me a chance to refuse, grabbing my shoulder and saying I had to participate too, saying the monster hunter couldn't possibly have taught me half-heartedly. Then the leader loudly shouted into the grounds, asking who wanted to spar with this newcomer first. Hearing this, everyone immediately showed excited expressions. I felt helpless inside. As expected, newcomers don't even get a chance to voice their opinions. A mercenary rushed to the front saying he's first, then looked me up and down with a face full of mockery. I immediately felt annoyed. This punk's mouth is too foul, my physique got 1,000 likes on social media. Since I can't avoid it, might as well take control of the initiative here first. The leader loudly asked if both sides were ready, then shouted the word start. That mercenary immediately launched a fierce attack toward me. I used just one move to knock the sword from his hand. The surrounding mercenaries instantly let out surprised exclamations. The system indicated the mercenary was defeated. My reputation increased by 15 points. I thought to myself, this is all natural. After eating the red dragon fruit, my strength has long reached the level of an ogre. Immediately a mercenary shouted they were curious about me and wanted to spar with me too. Several other mercenaries echoed, all wanting to challenge me. I looked shocked, could only helplessly tell them to come one at a time. I successively used intermediate swordsmanship, monster binding technique, and moves like monster headbutt and so on. After defeating the challengers one by one, another big guy appeared. The big guy said he really couldn't watch anymore. Old mercenaries losing to a newcomer is too embarrassing. He had to properly spar with me. I looked at his physique far exceeding normal humans and immediately felt apprehensive. Is this big guy really human? Dealing with him seems genuinely difficult. I wanted to withdraw from the duel, but the system simply wouldn't allow it. I couldn't help cursing internally. Fuck. Thanks so much, great God Grid AI. I quickly waved at the big guy, wanting him to rest for just 1 minute before starting, but the big guy's fierce attack had already fallen. I took a deep breath. Things have come to this. There's no other way out. I can only steel myself and go for it. I suddenly stepped forward and grabbed the big guy's thick arm, using his charging momentum to twist smoothly, cleanly executing a standard monster back throw. A loud thud sounded as the big guy was slammed hard onto the ground, immediately knocked unconscious. The system indicated the big guy was defeated. My reputation value skyrocketed by 30 points. The surroundings immediately erupted. Some mercenaries asked the leader where he found this talent. Others surrounded me with endless praise, saying I look thin as a stick, but how do I hide such amazing strength? Several impatient ones stared at me, clamoring to spar with me right away. I cursed this whole group internally. Would it kill you to let me catch my breath, fighting for so long without even a moment's rest? Just then, the leader suddenly stepped forward, raising his hand and waving it, sternly telling everyone to disperse. I felt warm inside. Could he be protecting his friend's disciple? But the next second he stated decisively that I was now the group leader for this battle. I stood there dumbfounded. This turn is too sudden, isn't it? The system indicated the hidden quest join the mercenary corps was complete. New quest updated to retake Halfheim Hill, making me lead the mercenary corps into battle. This is like forcing a duck onto a perch. With zero military leadership experience, one mistake means death, both in-game and in reality. The scene shifts to the battlefield, where both sides are locked in fierce confrontation. We belong to the Steel Elector's faction, facing the Broken Horn Demon Lord's half-orc legion. After the leader gave the order, the mercenaries roared and charged valiantly. The half-orc monster horde also bellowed back with crazed counterattacks. I wielded my longsword, slashing left and right, invincible all the way. Images from the earlier battle meeting suddenly flashed through my mind. The leader's expression was serious as he laid out the mission, saying this time there's only one objective: seize the enemy camp's military flag. The battle plan is clear. Once our forces break through their solid defense line, we'll slip in and completely rout the enemy army. He specifically reminded us that the half-orc race has an extremely strong sense of honor, tremendous strength, and their unity is second to none on the continent. So breaking through the defense line and eliminating obstructing enemies is the core responsibility of me, the squad leader. My thoughts snapped violently back to the intense battlefield. The half-orc spearmen attacked me without leaving any openings. I quickly dodged to the side, avoiding the spear tip while simultaneously swinging my sword backhand to cut the spear shaft. I couldn't help roaring internally. Why did this become the squad leader's responsibility? Stop joking. I just wanted to rack up some military merits and get out of here quickly. At this moment, inside the half-orc military camp, a sentry hurriedly reported to the captain that the spearmen's defense line was gradually collapsing. The captain didn't believe it at all and snatched the telescope. He rushed to the front line for a look and was instantly stunned, shouting that their spearmen were the Legion's elite. How could they collapse so quickly? And I was leading the assault squad, rapidly advancing through the gap in the defense line. The half-orc captain cried out in alarm, immediately ordering loudly for the feathered squad's musketeers to prepare to fire. I quickly told the mercenaries to take out their shields and form a defensive formation to block. I sneered disdainfully. These muskets dare to show off? Do they know what a K2 rifle is? Muskets can't fire continuously. They definitely have to alternate rows for loading ammunition. That's where the weakness lies. Sure enough, before long, the half-orc captain ordered the second row to prepare. In that brief gap for loading, I roared now and charged forward first with all my might. The flag-guarding half-orc panicked, exclaiming impossible. That guy, thin as a stick, could actually break through their defense line. He kept muttering that the military flag must never be taken, calling it the sacred banner containing their race's long history and glory. Saying this, the flag-guarding half-orc roared and raised his blade to strike at me. I led my companions to surround and fight together, finally snatching away their military flag. The system dinged, indicating successful flag capture. Command power 30 points, achievement 20 points. I was ecstatic inside. Now I just need to hold on until reinforcements arrive and the military merit is mine. But just then, the retreat horn sounded. A mercenary said in panic that things were bad. Our main forces were retreating across the board. The few of us had become isolated stragglers, and the half-orc reinforcement troops had already killed their way here. I instantly erupted in fury. Victory was right before our eyes. Why flee now of all times? That mercenary stammered, asking if we should also abandon the flag and retreat. I harshly scolded him about what bullshit he was saying. We're already completely surrounded by enemy forces, trapped in a hopeless situation with no way forward or back. At this moment, the hidden boss half-orc general commander, demon army general commander, made his entrance. He wielded a giant sword, solemnly announcing we were done for. He said brave human warriors should give up resisting. All soldiers under his command are elite. We have zero chance of victory. If we put down the flag and surrender now, he could spare our lives considering our commendable courage. I scoffed and shouted a threat. If they dare take one more step forward, I'll use this so-called sacred flag to wipe our big guy's ass. The half-orc legion instantly exploded, furiously cursing how I dared use their sacred flag in such a filthy place. A system prompt appeared, requiring me to threaten the demon army general commander. This played right into my hands. My eyes sharpened coldly as I hummed, "What's sacred or not in war, I'll recklessly crumple their most treasured banner." The demon army general commander instantly became furious beyond measure. Veins bulging at his temples, he ordered a full attack, saying they must recapture the flag at any cost. Both sides instantly fell into chaotic combat, but the system indicated the threat failed. I cursed internally without stop. In previous games, half-orcs never made the decision to abandon their flag. This general commander who doesn't play by the rules suddenly appearing is completely cheating. I glanced at my teammates, trembling beside me. They were about to be unable to hold on. But with my current reputation and strength, there's absolutely no way I could oppose him. Painful memories of past defeats surged to mind. Could I only helplessly watch as myself and my teammates perish in this desperate situation? The great God Grid AI's cold warning also echoed in my ears. Those words about game over meaning death in reality too, making my pupils contract sharply and heart race faster. My teammates urgently urged me to give orders, saying if this continues everyone will die here. Just when everyone fell into despair, I suddenly grinned. Seeing this, the half-orc soldiers cried out that I'd finally been driven insane. I shouted at the big guy to give me the signal horn. He said desperately that by now there won't be any reinforcements. I cursed him as useless and snatched the horn, blowing it fiercely. My teammates hastily reminded me I was blowing in the completely opposite direction from our army camp. I angrily told him to shut up and just focus on blocking bullets. I calculated internally, this direction is exactly the path the Holy Holy Knight must take. I'm betting on her coming to the rescue. After all, I firmly believe she'd never stand by and watch someone die. Then, the half-orc legion launched a fierce offensive. The spearmen thrust their coldly gleaming spear tips straight at my heart. The mercenaries behind me were so scared they forgot to resist. Just as the spear was about to pierce through me, an arrow broke through the air, precisely shooting through the half-orc spearman's neck. The Holy Knight descended from the sky, telling everyone not to give up hope. Pick up the swords in your hands and prepare to counterattack. The next second, her horse landed steadily beside us. She first swept her gaze around the trapped crowd, then dismounted and pointed her sword at the Demon Army General Commander. The Demon Army General Commander's eyes sharpened, loudly ordering the entire army not to interfere, saying this battle is a noble duel between him and the Holy Knight. The Holy Knight gripped her longsword tight, saying he also understands a warrior's romance. Before she finished speaking, the two had already clashed. Both sides were actually fighting evenly. I marveled internally at how amazing. This is the early plot stage and the Holy Knight is already this strong. The clashing of blades rang out across the battlefield with metallic clangs. The Demon Army General Commander suddenly frowned, showing an opening due to his old injury acting up. The Holy Knight seized the opportunity to leap up, fiercely kicking his face, sending him flying several meters away. The Demon Army General Commander coughed up fresh blood but instead threw his head back laughing, praising that not only is her swordsmanship fierce, but her physical abilities have also reached such a formidable level. Truly impressive. The Holy Knight replied calmly, saying she merely reveres the divine with a devout heart. The Demon Army General Commander wiped the blood from his mouth corner and swung his giant sword fiercely toward her. The Holy Knight's eyes sharpened as she said coldly, "It's getting late. Time to end this." With that, she suddenly charged forward, longsword and giant sword colliding with a thunderous crash, sparking blinding flames. The Demon Army General Commander roared and swung his sword in a heavy strike, determined to cleave her in half, but due to losing his center of balance, he completely missed, his form swaying and revealing an even bigger opening. The Holy Knight again borrowed force to leap up, her longsword condensing fierce holy light. The longsword slashed downward vertically with unstoppable momentum, cleaving straight from his head down to his waist. A flash of admiration passed through the Demon Army General Commander's eyes, saying what a beautiful battle, worthy of his full effort. With those words, he crashed to the ground with a thunderous sound, covered in blood and severely injured. The Holy Knight sheathed her sword and stood, though breathing slightly heavily, her posture remained upright. Seeing this, the half-orcs supported their commander and fled in panic, vanishing deep into the battlefield in moments. I was shocked internally. The commander, who seemed so formidable, was critically wounded with one strike, worthy of being the Holy Knight. The Holy Knight stepped toward me, softly asking if I'm the leader of these mercenaries, saying she clearly felt my courage and decisiveness from afar. Then she extended a hand toward me. I quickly stepped forward and grasped it tightly, respectfully saying hello and thank you very much for your timely support, thinking if she hadn't arrived in time, we probably would have all perished here. I reminded myself internally that I'm no longer the Steel Elector. I must act even more cautiously now. Seeing me so reserved and lowering my head, the Holy Knight softly asked why, and I shook my head without speaking. At this moment, a mercenary hurried forward, presenting the captured enemy flag. The system indicated the mercenary corps' trust in me significantly increased. They all gathered around praising me, saying thanks to my decisive command they could survive, and cheering that this flag is now our spoils of war. Someone laughingly pushed my arm, teasing the squad leader to snap out of it. Surely I wasn't scared silly by the intense battle just now. I came to my senses and laughed loudly, sweeping away the previous embarrassment and tension, then hoisted the flag high, accepting everyone's cheers. The scene shifts to the noisy tavern. I was sitting around a table with a group of mercenaries eating heartily. Suddenly, a petite figure rushed in hastily. That girl grabbed the big guy's arm, anxiously looking him up and down, mouth not stopping asking questions. I quietly leaned toward the leader and lowered my voice asking who this is. Could she be his daughter? The leader waved his hand laughing, saying the big guy hasn't reached marrying age yet. That kid is his little sister. Just as he finished, the big guy's sister suddenly turned toward me with a face full of anger. She said indignantly that her brother definitely became like this because of following me, and demanded I pay medical fees. The big guy quickly pulled his sister back, explaining that thanks to the squad leader they could return alive. The mercenary beside also chimed in, saying I saved everyone. If not for me, they would have long become the half-orc's meal. Just then, the tavern door pushed open, and the Holy Knight walked in. My heart skipped. I completely didn't expect her to come here. The Holy Knight said breathlessly, "It's nothing major, just that His Highness the Elector is looking for me." I didn't dare delay and immediately followed the Holy Knight on horseback to the forward outpost. On the road, the Holy Knight turned her head to look at me, saying it looks like they'll award me a military merit medal. Why don't I seem happy? I smiled in response, saying she looks even happier about it than I am. I pondered internally, how come she feels different from the Holy Knight I knew before? Like she's more cheerful and straightforward now. The Holy Knight raised her hand, indicating I should look toward the distant camp, telling me to see those soldiers who survived because of my contribution, saying without my courage and persistence, they probably would have all perished. I looked at those living figures, my heart welling up with complex feelings. The me of the past was the lofty Steel Elector elector, always protected by the Holy Knight. But now I'm just an unknown mercenary who still needs her help. Thinking of this, I suddenly understood. The Holy Knight has never changed. What changed is just the identities between us and our relationship. Arriving at the forward outpost entrance, we too dismounted. The Holy Knight quickly stepped forward, saluting the person in the high seat. Private Tyrant slowly responded, first saying she'd worked hard, then greeted me, solemnly introducing himself as the Steel Elector. Worthy of being a guardian in the game, this innate sense of oppression is truly extraordinary. I quickly bowed respectfully, saying it's an honor to meet your highness the noble elector. Private Tyrant nodded approvingly, saying my courage is truly shocking, and I humbly responded that his highness praises me too much. But Private Tyrant spoke seriously, saying those who establish merit should rightfully receive rewards, then ordered to grant my comrades 1 year's salary, plus an additional 3 years' salary for me. I quickly knelt to express gratitude, and Private Tyrant, seeing my proper etiquette, asked if I had any other requests. I hesitated inside. By rights I should respectfully withdraw, but glancing at the Holy Knight beside me, I decided to speak. I bowed and said, Your Highness, I have one request. I wish to go to Vitenbale with my comrades to reorganize our forces. Private Tyrant lowered his head, pondering briefly, saying although Vitenbale is a rear city, it also has quite a few hidden dangers, so he approved. He specifically added that he could lend me the military supply cart to use freely. Seeing my face still hesitant, Private Tyrant pressed, asking what else I wanted. I thought this question might be somewhat presumptuous, and might even invite unnecessary suspicion, but to let the Holy Knight face a bit less danger, I pressed my lips tight, swept my gaze across the civil and military officials present, took a deep breath and mustered courage to ask, Your Highness, I dare to ask you, how do you view this war? As the words fell, the base instantly erupted in commotion. The Holy Knight couldn't help breaking a cold sweat for me. I knew clearly inside that everyone panicked after hearing. A mere mercenary daring to question the elector is indeed too rash. I just saw Private Tyrant's sharp gaze look toward me, counter-asking how I view this war. I responded calmly, saying from this lowly one's shallow perspective, even though the current battle situation is smooth, there's still something worrying about future circumstances. Just as I finished, a noble suddenly burst into laughter, mocking what kind of thing I am to dare talk big here and worry presumptuously. Another portly noble beside also echoed, saying I really think establishing a tiny bit of military merit means I can point fingers at His Highness's decisions. Private Tyrant raised his hand to stop the noisy nobles, his gaze settling heavily on me without rushing to take a stance. Just then, the Holy Knight stepped forward and bowed, saying, Your Highness, as the saying goes, feeling your way across stones is more stable, why not hear his insights first? Private Tyrant's uncle immediately scolded harshly, saying, Where does this little knight get to speak? Before you stands His Highness the illustrious elector. Another official quickly smoothed things over, reminding in a low voice that the Holy Knight is the niece of the Bayern elector. Please everyone mind your manners. I praised internally, worthy of being the Holy Knight. Even those arrogant nobles instantly restrained their expressions and didn't dare ignore her opinion. Private Tyrant again raised his hand, signaling everyone in the tent to quiet down, his tone flat as he told me to speak. What worries do I have? I slowly spoke, directly stating I believe the enemy army might have set an ambush. After all, the half-orc legion's previous retreat was too hasty, completely inconsistent with their valiant style. Private Tyrant raised an eyebrow, quite interested as he pressed what basis I had to dare make such assertions. I nodded and explained clearly that the Broken Horn Demon Lord's core strategy has always been ambush and betrayal, never frontal confrontation. 10 years ago in their war with the Toya Kingdom, and 6 years ago in their battle with the Anhart Border Earl, the Broken Horn Demon Lord's ambush tactics played decisive roles. Besides that, his legions also commonly use betrayal methods to disintegrate enemy alliances. This point likewise cannot be overlooked. Private Tyrant's face grew serious, asking if I mean there's a traitor in the current camp. I quickly bowed to explain, only expressing there's this potential possibility, not asserting there must be an insider in the camp. After all, battlefield situations change in an instant. Exercising more caution in everything never hurts. Private Tyrant fell silent for a moment, then suddenly sneered coldly, asking if this is looking down on his deployment and questioning his abilities. He warned me with a cold face that my head can still hang properly on my neck purely thanks to his mercy and tolerance, telling me to recognize my identity as a mercenary, not to overstep and speak too much, meddling in matters I shouldn't manage. The Holy Knight quickly stepped forward to plead, saying I didn't mean to offend, just spoke frankly out of concern for the battle situation. Also mentioning I just established great merit on the battlefield, disregarding safety to recapture the flag. This sincere heart surely isn't malicious. Private Tyrant glanced at the Holy Knight, then looked at me kneeling on the ground, his tone slightly softening, saying he knows I have merit, but rules are rules. Mercenaries should do their duty as mercenaries. Court stratagems and battle deployments aren't my place to comment on, but considering this is my first offense and I have merit, he won't pursue it this time. I quickly kowtowed in thanks, thanks, saying thank you for His Highness's magnanimity. I misspoke and overstepped. Private Tyrant impatiently waved his hand telling me to get up, and I rose and respectfully retreated a few steps, silently exiting the tent. From my past experience, the elector candidate should have been a more cautious person. How did he become so arrogant, selfish, and rampant now? That's right, this plotline is indeed somewhat different. The red dragon fruit that should only appear in late game, and the holy knight who shouldn't appear yet, all completely different from my countless previous gameplay experiences. Could this world's storyline have already deviated? A rush of hurried footsteps came, and I suddenly turned my head to see the holy knight panting as she chased after me. She said I walked way too fast. Wait for her. I was somewhat surprised, asking if she came specially because she was worried about me. The holy knight nodded without hesitation, even apologizing on Private Tyrant's behalf, saying his attitude just now was indeed too excessive, telling me not to take it to heart. She said besides the military merit reward, if I wanted anything else she could help me achieve it. Just speak up. I raised an eyebrow teasingly. She doesn't even know what I'll make her do, yet dares make such guarantees. The holy knight puffed her chest, saying, don't underestimate her. The Bayern family is one of the Empire's top wealthy families. She has this ability. I laughed heartily, saying of course money is good, but she should have plenty of clothes too, right? The holy knight looked completely puzzled, tilting her head to examine me. Seeing this, I stopped joking and my tone instantly became serious. Actually, I want a horse and a pistol. The holy knight looked utterly astonished, eyes wide, asking if I really only want these. Is that enough? This is a rare opportunity. I could completely demand more valuable things. I smiled, explaining my dream is to become cavalry, so I want to take this chance to practice horsemanship. As for the pistol, it's also a man's romance. The holy knight looked at the moisture in my eyes, puzzled, asking why I'm still crying. I wiped my face and said earnestly, these are a man's tears of emotion. The holy knight helplessly shook her head, saying this is her first time meeting someone as desireless as me. She said now isn't the time to waste here, then without allowing refusal pulled my hand. I was stunned, letting her pull me forward. This girl not only took the initiative to chase after me, but smiled so beautifully, making my heart flutter. I even somewhat wanted to just elope with her and be done with it. The next day, both sides went to war again, the battlefield smoke even thicker than last time. Private Tyrant still put on an arrogant attitude, ignoring his subordinate general's dissuasion, stubbornly ordering the entire army to charge head-on. The Broken Horn Demon Lord had a cold smile playing at his mouth, looking completely confident. The Broken Horn Demon Lord's subordinate came forward, reporting everything was ready, then hesitantly asked if the Broken Horn Demon Lord really wanted to deploy that perverted demon, saying her temperament is too brutal, afraid she'll cause trouble. The Broken Horn Demon Lord said calmly he knows he'll properly instruct perverted demon to restrain herself. Just as he said this, the ring communicator on the Demon Lord's hand lit up. After connecting, perverted demon's mocking voice came through, saying she's already prepared. The Broken Horn Demon Lord said through the communicator she'd worked hard, and instructed her never to be careless, specifically emphasizing to restrain herself and not make too big a commotion. Perverted demon's voice on the other end carried laughter, counter-asking if she'd ever been very excessive before. The Broken Horn Demon Lord rolled his eyes, saying irritably she's excessive every day, completely without restraint. But perverted demon argued like she was being unreasonable, saying she's always been very restrained, and never really harmed their lives. The Broken Horn Demon Lord helplessly hung up the communication. On the other side, I galloped on horseback all the way. Couldn't help marveling inside. This horse's speed is ridiculously fast, and this is just a reserve horse from the Bayern family, worthy of being the Bayern family's young lady. Her generosity is truly different. Plus, she gave me such expensive healing potions. One bottle's price could buy a luxury villa. Suddenly, a massive boom exploded. An explosion's roar came from the distance. My face darkened as I cursed. Damn it, fighting started again this quickly. Relying on that arrogant and conceited Private Tyrant, he absolutely can't handle this perilous war, and 9 times out of 10, he's already suffered betrayal from those around him. Sure enough, betrayal really occurred on the battlefield. His uncle had long secretly colluded with the Broken Horn Demon Lord, an insider collaborating with the enemy. This battle's outcome was already decided. He questioned his uncle how he could betray himself. Does he still deserve to be called the Empire's glorious knight? But the uncle sneered in response, saying, Private Tyrant still hasn't figured out his situation even now. He mocked Private Tyrant's stubborn arrogance, which long ago caused displeasure among many factions, and fabricated a monstrous lie, saying he detected Private Tyrant's attempt to usurp the throne and harm the Emperor. He had no choice but to cooperate with the Broken Horn Demon Lord to arrest him on charges of treason. Private Tyrant looked utterly incredulous, furiously cursing this lie is too stupid. No one would believe such nonsense. The uncle coldly sneered. The truly stupid one is him. Private Tyrant's eyes nearly split with rage as he roared he'd dismember him. At this moment, the Broken Horn Demon Lord stepped forward and stomped viciously on Private Tyrant's head, pressing him firmly to the ground, saying the once invincible Steel Elector has now become a prisoner, then told his subordinates to quickly bind him up. Private Tyrant struggled and roared that he's the noble Elector, telling them not to come near. The Broken Horn Demon Lord frowned, impatiently finding him noisy, telling his subordinates to gag his mouth first. At this critical moment, the Holy Knight flew over, fiercely kicking the Broken Horn Demon Lord in the face, sending him staggering backward. The Broken Horn Demon Lord cursed in pain, covering his face and glaring at the Holy Knight. The Holy Knight blocked in front of Private Tyrant, urgently telling the personal guards beside to take his highness and retreat now. Both the broken horn demon lord and Private Tyrant's uncle were shocked and furious. They didn't expect the Holy Knight would suddenly kill her way out and ruin things. The broken horn demon lord covered his swollen, painful face, quickly using his ring to contact Perverted Demon, telling her to pursue Private Tyrant. Perverted Demon's lazy voice came through asking why he's summoning her so quickly, saying she was just having fun. The broken horn demon lord gritted his teeth angrily, saying he already told her to restrain herself, hurry up and start working. Perverted Demon smiled in agreement, her tone full of mockery, telling the zombie dogs the little cuties should go eat dinner. Have them fully enjoy the prey along the way. Don't let a single one escape. On my side, I'd long been chased by a pack of hideous zombie dogs. Looks like Perverted Demon wants to use them to first exhaust the enemy's strength, then personally come out to torment them. Only Perverted Demon could think of such vicious and underhanded tactics. Facing the zombie dogs' continuous attacks, I gradually became somewhat exhausted. I pulled out the pistol the Holy Knight gave me. One shot per zombie dog, precisely eliminating them. I thought since there aren't many here, the rest must have all gone to Private Tyrant's side. That guy's life or death has nothing to do with me. What's important is the Holy Knight absolutely cannot have an accident. I fiercely squeezed the horse's belly and roared Haya, urging the mount to speed up. Must go even faster, arrive by the Holy Knight's side before she falls into danger. On the other side, the Holy Knight with several guards and Private Tyrant had already been completely surrounded by densely packed zombie dogs. Private Tyrant cried out in panic that his magic power suddenly failed. He was certain the broken horn demon lord secretly played dirty tricks, harshly accusing the other party of daring to use such underhanded tactics. Suddenly, a hideously faced zombie dog fiercely lunged forward. Private Tyrant was so scared he instantly froze in place. Seeing this, the Holy Knight immediately drew her sword and stepped forward, cleanly slaying the lunging zombie dog, then agilely flipped and jumped back onto her own horse. Private Tyrant waved his hand, still shaken, saying he's fine. The Holy Knight reminded this is an untraveled, undeveloped area, must be extra careful. Suddenly, a weak cry for help came from not far away. A purple-haired knight was being surrounded by several zombie dogs, his whole body already covered in wounds. But Private Tyrant frowned and curled his lip, his face full of disdain, unwilling to bother. The Holy Knight immediately prepared to spur her horse over to provide support, but Private Tyrant suddenly shouted at the Holy Knight, telling her to just throw away such useless things and not delay his own escape. The Holy Knight froze on the spot, incredulously counter-asking how he could say such things. Private Tyrant's face full of arrogance, directly stating he's different from those people. Their lives simply aren't worthy of being mentioned in the same breath as his. The Holy Knight cursed internally. This kind of selfish bastard doesn't deserve to be Elector at all. She regretted not arguing forcefully for my warning back then. If everyone had taken my warning seriously then, perhaps they wouldn't have fallen into this desperate situation. This is the price of them ignoring my suggestion. Perverted Demon's cold laughter suddenly came from the shadows. Then she launched a fierce attack on the Holy Knight, using a whip laced with demonic energy to tightly strangle the Holy Knight's neck. The Holy Knight still held a thread of fantasy about Private Tyrant in her heart, but that guy only cared about his own panicked escape, even turning back to angrily curse her not to drag him down here and delay his escape. The next second, the Holy Knight was knocked to the ground by the whip's impact force, watching Private Tyrant's wretched figure decisively abandoning her. Her heart completely sank, full of disappointment. Couldn't help cursing herself for being so poor at judging character. Actually following such a selfish coward all this time. Really detestable, her loyalty was wrongly given. Perverted Demon slowly walked near, a mocking smile hanging at her mouth, teasingly saying it's precisely because Private Tyrant is this kind of person that he can sit in the Elector's position. She deliberately called the Holy Knight Big Sister in a coy voice, sarcastically questioning if she felt guilty. The Holy Knight struggled to prop up her body and refuted Perverted Demon, saying Elector is a position of generational voting rights and absolutely not in existence to be taken lightly. Perverted Demon was too lazy to waste more words, turning her head to tell subordinates to chase Private Tyrant. She herself would stay behind to focus on dealing with the Holy Knight. She tilted her head slightly with a smile, saying she'll properly cherish Big Sister. The Holy Knight bit her teeth tight, barely steadying herself, immediately gripping her longsword, launching an attack toward Perverted Demon. But before even getting close to Perverted Demon, her wrist flicked lightly, the long whip fiercely lashing out, solidly striking her entire body. The Holy Knight grunted in pain. Seeing this, Perverted Demon laughed wildly, saying this scream sounds so good, she wants to continue bullying her. The long whip wrapped in fierce wind, falling on her body one strike after another. The Holy Knight gradually lost strength, unable to support herself anymore, struck down to the ground. She lay on the cold ground, consciousness growing hazier. She thought hazily that perhaps if it were me, no matter how critical the situation, I could overcome it. But she herself could only go this far. Just as Perverted Demon prepared to raise her whip and strike viciously again, I happened to arrive on scene and pulled the trigger without hesitation. Bang! A crisp gunshot rang out, the bullet grazing past Perverted Demon's shoulder. Perverted Demon whirled around sharply, shock flashing in her eyes, seeing her zombie dogs already lying scattered all over the ground. Before she fully reacted, I'd already quickly closed in. A charged heavy punch smashing hard into her face, directly sending her flying out, crashing heavily to the distant ground. I gasped for breath, looking at the Holy Knight on the ground, telling her not to be afraid. I'm here. The Holy Knight's pupils contracted sharply, indescribable feelings in her heart. She instinctively weakly called out my name, also murmuring that I really do resemble the legendary hero. Just as she finished, her eyes went dark and she completely passed out. I immediately stepped forward, carefully lifting her up, placing her in a hidden safe spot, then coldly shifted my gaze to the slowly rising perverted demon. I fumbled in my chest for a moment, pulled out the gun and said coldly, she's still as perverted as always. She wiped the blood from her mouth corner, surprised, asking if I know her, even calling me big brother with that nauseating face. I furrowed my brow tight, my tone ice cold, telling her not to call me that. It looks disgusting. Perverted demon sneered coldly, staring hard at the pistol in my hand, saying this thing's range is indeed farther than her whip, but her whip is much faster than a pistol that needs reloading. I pulled the trigger again without hesitation, but she was already prepared, suddenly dodging sideways as she charged at me. The long whip shot out like a venomous snake's tongue, instantly wrapping around my body and limbs, pulling hard to yank me fiercely before her. I struggled desperately but couldn't break free. The next second she used her head to fiercely headbutt my forehead, immediately followed by a vicious punch to my abdomen, sending me flying backward. She laughed wildly, saying this level is still far off, really not enough for her to play with, then continuously lashed out with her long whip shadows dense as a net, sealing all my escape routes. But I'd already figured out her whip patterns and weaknesses, nimbly dodging to avoid attacks again and again, while constantly finding opportunities to get closer to her. Perverted demon's heart jumped in alarm. She couldn't believe her whip technique that even Legion members acknowledge. I could actually dodge it all and press closer step by step. She roared and accelerated her whipping speed, her offensive even more fierce than before. However, I'd already unknowingly circled behind her. I grinned with a smile, raising a short sword high. Perverted demon looked utterly shocked. With no time to react at all, I swung the short sword down and viciously stabbed it into her right eye. A piercing scream instantly echoed throughout the mountain forest. I teasingly asked if she enjoyed the taste of this short sword. Perverted demon was clearly panicked. She completely didn't expect I could both break through her chain attacks and have other weapons prepared to counter her. Can't win, so run! She instantly flew into the air, stubbornly saying she won't fight battles destined to lose. I could see she was just trying to buy time for her injured eye to recover, but this played right into my plans. I scoffed, saying she's chickening out and making excuses to flee. She stopped in the air, looking down provocatively at me. I toyed with the pistol, mouth curling up, telling her not to rush off. The smile on perverted demon's face instantly vanished. Her face showed terror as she hastily tried to turn and escape. However, I'd already aimed at her vital point and pulled the trigger. She was hit on cue, black smoke rising from the wound. Her body fell straight toward the ground, smashing out a shallow crater. I put away the gun with a slight smile. As expected, dealing with bat-like creatures that fly everywhere, guns are the way to go. Perverted demon couldn't move on the ground for quite a while. I walked over and complained it's all because of this damn pervert, making things so troublesome. She lifted her head with reddened eyes, fake sobbing as she called me big brother, pitifully asking if I really wanted to kill her. My eyes were ice cold as I cursed her. Dead pervert, stop playing tricks, hurry up and die. Perverted demon's expression changed instantly, but she couldn't say anything anymore. The system indicated perverted demon is dead and dropped many items. Hyz's cloak, whip, magic binding rope, body enhancement potion, poison dragon Hoguma's poison and antidote, plus 2,000 prolin. After collecting the items, I quickly returned to the Holy Knight's side, taking out the precious complete healing potion. The Holy Knight's breath was nearly gone at this point. There's no other way now, I could only gamble. I prayed frantically inside that the potion would work. She absolutely cannot die. The system indicated the complete healing potion's effects and precautions. Staring at the instructions, my cheeks instantly flushed. It says to apply directly to the affected area. Doesn't this mean I have to first remove her armor and apply the potion directly to the wound? I took deep breaths, desperately telling myself I must stay calm. This is purely helping her treat injuries, can't have any selfish thoughts, can't think other things. While treating the Holy Knight's injuries, I inexplicably recalled a sealed memory. When I was young, my father passed away from illness. My mother also fell ill shortly after from overwork. At such a young age, I became all alone. Later, I stumbled through growing up and became part of the debt collection business, every day making a living by taking money to do jobs for people. Afterward, clients would hand over the agreed payment. After verifying the amount was correct, that job would be complete. Once I couldn't help curiously asking a shut-in client where all this money came from to play games every day. He smiled mysteriously, saying playing one game round could easily earn 10 million. I immediately became interested, pressing to ask what game this was that made so much money. The shut-in client said this is the massive single-player RPG game Human Guardians, and this mission concerns game rankings with especially generous rewards. Not only does it have a free and expansive worldview, it's also created quite a few beautiful girls with kind hearts. Currently, the total player count has already surpassed 1 billion. Top-ranked players can earn tens of millions from just any random mission. My heart stirred. Playing this game can really make money. The shut-in client said the money he paid me was earnings earned from playing games, and asked if I wanted to try. I was about to refuse, saying I still had other things to do today. But my phone suddenly rang. I opened it to see a cancellation notice for the commission, so I entered the game with a try-it-and-see attitude. Instantly, it was like rushing into a completely unfamiliar other world. Man, high-tech development is too amazing. This sky looks unrealistically real. The streets and pedestrians are exactly like reality. I couldn't help muttering, is this really a game world? Looking at the NPC by the street, I simply reached out to touch his skin. Wow, too lifelike. Completely unlike a virtual model. Even the tiny pores can be seen. This is too realistic. Before I could look more, the boss swatted my hand away, his tone impatient as he drove me off, growling that if I have no money, don't obstruct his business. The system popped up my current balance, 10 prolin. I muttered inside. Prolin should be this world's currency unit. At this moment, a little boy suddenly darted out, staring at the apples on the stand. The child's mother quickly pulled him back, saying they can't afford it. My heart moved as I stepped forward, asking the boss for an apple, paying 1 prolin, then handed the apple to the little boy, telling him to eat it. The child's mother quickly bent down to thank me, saying I actually spent such precious money to buy her child an apple. I waved my hand, telling her not to be polite. This small matter is nothing. The little boy held the apple, his eyes bright and shining, saying thank you, big brother. Watching their receding figures, I thought although 1 prolin can cover an ordinary family's food for a day, this kind of small favor really isn't a big deal. This scene suddenly reminded me of my own childhood. Back when my mom and I lived together, I was also very inconsiderate, pestering her every day to buy me fried chicken. I watched that mother and son, thinking this game is quite charming. After that, I often logged on and it gradually became a habit. Whenever reality's pressures crushed me breathless, making me feel utterly exhausted, I'd enter the world of human guardians, here to resolve troubles and heal myself. Before I knew it, the number of times logging on increased more and more. When tired, I'd enter the game to recuperate. The grievances and pressures suffered in reality could all be released here. After regaining my spirits, I'd return to reality to continue struggling. In a blink, I'd been playing this game for nearly 5 years. I recalled again the scene when I first met the Holy Knight. That day, she suddenly appeared before me, asking if I dared go with her to catch forest spores. Seeing my lack of response for a long time, she raised her eyebrow provocatively, asking if I was scared. I curled my mouth corner with a light laugh, saying I just happened to want boar meat tonight. After entering the forest, I raised my sword and resolved the massive boar with 1 strike. The Holy Knight's eyes lit up as she generously praised how amazing I was, saying my real ability matches my bragging skill. Just as she finished speaking, she sent out a team invitation. I raised an eyebrow teasingly. Is this a contract for me to be at her beck and call from now on like today? The Holy Knight sighed helplessly, asking if I was born with trust issues. I said bluntly yes. She was amused by this and laughed, saying I'm really interesting, and proposed she could recommend me as an Imperial Knight. She tilted her head seriously, asking if it's a deal. I barely hesitated before immediately agreeing. Later, through one military achievement after another, I climbed step by step, ultimately becoming the Steel Elector. On the magnificent coronation platform, accepting the cheers and worship of tens of thousands, the Holy Knight stood quietly by my side, her smile especially bright. She sincerely admired how amazing it is that I could reach this position today. She smiled, asking what new feelings I have at this moment. I looked at the cheering citizens below, sincerely stating this isn't my achievement alone, but the Holy Knight gently shook her head, her tone carrying certainty, saying I myself fought with all my strength to save the people and bring peace to the Empire. Several white doves flapped their wings across the sky. She softly murmured, these are all my subjects. When this memory quietly ended, the Holy Knight was still by my side. I'm very glad I saved her, able to see the most perfect ending together with her. She still smiled, praising me, saying this is the first time seeing someone who goes all out for everything. I smiled, answering it's because I love this world too much. Aside from hurting all over, everything else is great. She carried a hint of reproach, asking who exactly told me to remove her armor. I answered seriously it was to apply medicine to her, purely force majeure. She changed the subject, saying going forward we'll soon reach the convent. I responded in agreement, saying we need to quickly tell the convent everyone the news of her survival. She stated seriously that after returning to the convent she must properly repay me. My heart rose with anticipation, pondering what I should ask for, but she suddenly raised an eyebrow, half threatening, half joking, asking if I wanted another beating. Arriving at the convent's entrance, the Holy Knight and Vice Principal got into an argument. The Holy Knight said I'm the convent's honored guest, but the Vice Principal said the convent is in an emergency state and can't let males enter. With no choice, I could only stay at a small inn near the convent. Night quickly fell. I lay alone in the inn's room, muttering to the ceiling, things are a bit troublesome. I originally wanted to ask the convent to hand over the angel's heart to me. That's a treasure the convent has passed down for hundreds of years. Also an S-rank rare item containing goddess-level protective power, can resummon the user's soul, in other words, can get an extra life. To deal with future life or death moments, I must obtain this item. Just as I was worrying, the Holy Knight gently knocked on the door and walked in. Her face carried guilt, apologizing that I'm an honored guest yet can only stay in such a shabby place. She looked at me hanging upside down from the bed, curiously asking what I'm doing. I told her I'm thinking about things. She hesitated, saying something big indeed happened, but this matter is highly classified. I immediately guaranteed I'd keep it secret for life. She chose to believe me, me, lowering her voice to inform that the Grandmother Superior fell into a coma after being eroded by dark forces. Hearing this, I immediately questioned in confusion. Didn't we just see the Grandmother? She quickly corrected that was the Vice Principal. The current Grandmother Superior is lowly war goddess. Also suspecting there's a traitor inside the convent, this matter is very likely the Broken Horn Demon Lord's doing. I froze on the spot, my heart raising massive waves. The current Grandmother Superior is lowly war goddess? She's actually still alive. I always thought she died in battle long ago, so I never paid attention. She's the publicly acknowledged strongest martial force owner in Imperial history, the absolute symbol of power, can effortlessly defeat lower-ranked demon lords. Also the core figure who single-handedly built the convent into a top-tier martial organization. Thinking of this, I suddenly stood up from the bedside, my eyes determined, saying I must save her. The Holy Knight was startled by my reaction, puzzled, asking what suddenly got into me. I urgently pressed, is she certain the Grandmother Superior was eroded by darkness? After receiving confirmation, I pulled her along, saying I understand dark forces very well. We quickly returned to the convent again. The Vice Principal looked me up and down, her tone questioning, asking the Holy Knight if it's true I said I understand darkness well. The Holy Knight responded, firmly, saying I'm someone worthy of trust, also earnestly asking the Vice Principal to believe in me this once. At this moment, the hall's air floated with thick killing intent, pressing so one could barely breathe. The Vice Principal still kept a stern face, saying looks like I know everything. Her eyes coldly stared at me fixedly, her tone full of undisguised distrust, saying she also knows this is a traitor's doing, yet she's supposed to trust an outsider of unknown origin. She felt no need to listen further, coldly telling us to hurry up and leave. Hearing this, the Holy Knight still wanted to argue for me, but I raised my hand to stop her, smiling as I stepped forward. Then spoke, saying the Grandmother Superior's condition is critical, but the Vice Principal mercilessly interrupted, saying this has nothing to do with me, an outsider. I quickly raised my voice to add, telling her not to rush to drive people away. Let me finish speaking. I'm someone who's read the 7 Demon Sacred Canon. At these words, the Vice Principal's face instantly changed, her voice even trembling, asking how I could have read that book. I followed her words, continuing, looks like she's also very familiar with this book. Legend says the 7 Demon Sacred Canon records everything about darkness, but was sealed by the Dark Lord Demon Destroyer and disappeared from the world long ago. The Vice Principal looked incredulous, pressing to ask how I obtained that book. I could only explain I really can't tell her specific reasons, because merely mentioning the book's contents will suffer terrible curses. But please believe me, I'm very clear on methods to counter dark erosion. The Vice Principal stared at me silently for quite a while before finally relenting, saying she understands my purpose, but requires I must keep this secret for life, also viciously threatening that if I dare leak half a word, she'll beat me into total paralysis so I can never move again. Following a group of nuns toward the principal's room, my heart was about to collapse. This group is totally fitness maniacs. The strong sweat smell on them is really unbearable. Even more ridiculous, the Vice Principal just barehanded tore a solid wood desk to shreds. The Holy Knight noticed my face was off, jokingly asking if I also want to train into their physique. I quickly laughed it off, saying I actually want to, just my uncle doesn't quite approve. Walking along, the Vice Principal suddenly stopped, saying in a deep voice, we've arrived. Then her tone grew serious, reminding us the demonic energy here is especially concentrated. Absolutely don't let it erode our minds. I quickly nodded in agreement. She told the other nuns to all stay put and not approach casually, then herself stepped forward to prepare, opening the door. The heavy stone door slowly pushed open, an extremely pure yet violent demonic energy instantly gushed out. The system in my mind immediately indicated taking mental damage from darkness. The Holy Knight said she has the goddess's protective barrier, so she's fine, then turned her head, asking me with concern how I am. I touched my slightly dizzy head. Seems like there's no obvious discomfort either. The Vice Principal pointed at the person on the inner bed, saying this is their Grandmother Superior. I stared at the person on the bed and froze on the spot. This is the strongest martial force owner in Imperial history, the Grandmother Superior. Completely different from the muscular, tough image I imagined. Instead, looks like a cute child. This contrast is way too big. No wonder she earned the title Lowly War Goddess. The Vice Principal said they've tried countless purification methods during this time to no avail. Holy water poured, sacred chants recited, even used their treasured holy light relics, but the demonic energy became more stubborn the more they cleared. I looked at the lowly war goddess on the bed, thinking this demonic energy's source has probably invaded deep into her soul. Ordinary methods simply won't work. Suddenly, the Vice Principal grabbed my arm, urgently begging me to save the Grandmother Superior. I was squeezed by her until I could barely breathe, quickly telling her to let go first. Only then did the Vice Principal realize she lost composure and quickly released me, apologizing. I leaned close to the bed to observe carefully. The lowly war goddess's condition is indeed critical. As a holy person, the suffering endured and the speed of dark erosion are both more than double that of ordinary people. The black blood vessels spreading on her neck are the best evidence. However, I still comforted. them, saying I have a way to dissolve this demonic energy. Hearing this, the vice principal in her urgency grabbed and lifted me up again, urgently pressing what method. I was yanked until my collar went askew and clothes wrinkled into a mess, again telling her to put me down first. After straightening my clothes, I said the method is simple. Just use the convent's treasure on the grandmother superior. The vice principal fell silent for a moment, her eyes complex, slowly speaking. The treasure I'm referring to is the angel's heart, right? Also saying she understands I want to transfer the curse on the grandmother superior to someone else. She added that sacred power and curses are naturally antagonistic. The transfer process can't avoid the grandmother superior's death at all. That's why the angel's heart is needed to revive her. I nodded, agreeing that's right. Precisely because curses are fatal to all holy people, the convent members couldn't use this method, and I as a mere mercenary can exactly do this thing. In other words, I'm the most suitable person to accept the curse. The vice principal's face showed difficulty, brows tightly knit, saying this method absolutely won't work. Saying this is a dark shackle belonging exclusively to the principal. No one can sacrifice themselves in this darkness in her place. If someone forcibly bears this curse for the principal, the entire empire will fall into crisis of destruction because of it. Moreover, this dark curse has unknown causes and symptoms. It's a completely incomprehensible, eerie existence. She doesn't believe I, a mere mortal, can safely endure it. After hearing this, the Holy Knight's face went pale, persuading me I have absolutely no reason to sacrifice myself for the grandmother superior. But I spoke with firm tone, saying this darkness may not necessarily belong exclusively to the principal, and I'm definitely the best choice. I've read the 7 Demons Sacred Canon and understand dark forces very well, plus I'm not a holy person so won't become fragile from dark erosion. What's more, I'm still an outsider. Even if something unexpected happens, it won't implicate the convent's core and foundation. I looked at the vice principal, directly pointing out she's actually already tempted by my proposal, right? The vice principal sighed deeply, saying when the grandmother superior wakes, she'll definitely scold her harshly, but finally agreed to do as I said. I calculated inside. The angel's heart can resummon the user's soul. Originally should be saved for future life or death moments. But this is also an excellent opportunity to turn lowly war goddess into my companion. The Holy Knight anxiously called out to me, asking if I really want to do this. The vice principal pulled the Holy Knight back, saying I'm a decisive man, telling her to watch from the side first. I nodded toward the Holy Knight, then walked to the bedside, fingertips wreathing pale blue magical light, mouth reciting the obscure incantation learned from the 7 Demon Sacred Canon, ancient syllables vibrating out dark gold runes. The instant my palm covered the lowly war goddess's forehead, the runes all sank into her pale skin. The next second, bone-chilling cold shot straight to my heart like a heavy hammer strike. Black whirlwinds spun and howled through the room. My consciousness fell as if into an ice cave, eyes suddenly going black, pulled by an invisible force into a void space. Is this the dark domain where light is completely devoured? Soul power can't move an inch here either. A low voice echoed in the void, saying he's the one curled up in the grave, asking who dares summon him so boldly. I clenched my fists, suppressing fear, solemnly telling him to quickly release the lowly war goddess's curse. The Dark Lord let out a cold laugh, saying a mere mortal truly doesn't know what fear is. I saw clearly the boundless dark outline before me, shocked inside. This is way too big. The Dark Lord's tone suddenly turned ice cold, saying there's nothing to say to me, telling me to quickly disappear from his sight. Saying this, he condensed dark magic, wrapped in soul-devouring power, and violently hurled it at me. The system in my mind suddenly buzzed, indicating it's using core energy to protect my soul. The Dark Lord noticed the magic failed, puzzled, saying he actually can't extract my soul. I'm strange, I sternly rebuked, telling him to quickly release the principal's curse and transfer it to me. The Dark Lord laughed in extreme anger, saying, cut the crap. If I don't reveal my origins, he'll extract and crush to ash the souls of everyone in my space. I cursed inside. Damn it, actually using such despicable means to threaten me with innocent lives. Then I don't need to be polite with him anymore either. I loudly said I've read the 7 Demon Sacred Canon. That's junk the demon destroyer peddles everywhere across realms. I used only 2 prolin to exchange for this book from that guy. Also complaining that shallow money-grubbing guy's probably still selling it cheap. Even the Dark Lord's secrets are nearly sold out. Threatening that if he delays further, even the cute little black cat pattern on his underwear will be shaken out by the demon destroyer, becoming the demon realm's laughingstock. The Dark Lord's voice suddenly deepened, clearly hit at his weak spot, saying he agrees but has one condition. I was instantly delighted inside. This old demon really took the bait. The system indicated a new hidden quest generated: eliminate all demon lords supported by the demon destroyer. I secretly rejoiced inside, thinking if I coax him more, maybe I can rake in more benefits. I pretended to be troubled, saying this task is a bit too difficult for a fragile mortal. The Dark Lord let out a disdainful scoff, saying I'm a useless guy, then said coldly if I have the guts, accept this power. 100 times more concentrated, violent dark force suddenly tore through the void, surging into my body like a flood. I cried out in pain. This is the legendary black eye power, questioning if he wants to kill me. The Dark Lord's voice carried thick mockery, saying where in the world are free lunches? Wanting powerful strength must pay equivalent price, telling me to hold on well and not die easily. System notifications popped up crazily. Obtaining hidden profession Bloodless Tearless 1, all ability values massively increased. Also opened rare new dark attribute, successfully learned S rank forbidden technique undead summoning. The next morning, I suddenly sat up from bed, chest heaving as I gasped for breath. Never expected I'd actually survive from the dark domain. I looked at the Dark Lord's exclusive ring on my fingertip, the cool magic pattern still condensed with a thread of strange residual warmth. I couldn't help laughing out loud, eyes flashing with excited light. Authority commanding countless liches and undead races, plus the necromancy jade that can summon death dragons. Bloodless Tearless 1. Among human guardians 1 billion players, I'm the first to obtain this hidden profession. I thought heaven is truly still favoring me after all. Just then, the door was gently pushed open. The Holy Knight slowly walked in. Seeing me laughing crazily, she said with pity, I indeed hurt my brain. I quickly restrained my laughter, waving repeatedly saying no, just too happy. The Holy Knight walked before me, saying after the ceremony ended I lost consciousness, so she temporarily brought me to her residence to recuperate, also instructing me not to do such reckless things again in the future, her tone full of undisguisable worry. I stood up and solemnly bowed to her in thanks, then reached out to gently hold her hand, softly promising I won't do that again. The Holy Knight's cheeks instantly flushed with light red, ear tips also dyed with thin pink, gently nodding. This is my first time holding a girl's hand, and it's the hand of my favorite female game character. My heart was truly palpitating fiercely, even my breathing became disordered. Just then, abnormally noisy sounds suddenly came from outside. We two quickly got up and rushed to the convent's back courtyard. The vice principal looked back, seeing me awake. Her tense face finally showed a thread of relief. I puzzled and leaned close, asking, after the broken horn demon lord's army chopped down those trees they fled? Just as I finished, another deafening boom exploded. A petite figure suddenly appeared on the ancient tree in the courtyard. I looked up following the sound, only to see lowly war goddess barehanded pulling up a large tree. I froze on the spot. Completely unlike a child, this brute strength is way too exaggerated. Lowly war goddess casually tossed the large tree aside. She patted the mud and dust on her hands, saying she'd been lying down too long, getting up to move her muscles and bones, then turned toward me, her face showing an especially hearty smile. She said seeing her lifesaver made her especially happy, she must properly repay me. Saying this, she without allowing refusal pulled my wrist, heading toward the convent's underground warehouse. I was dragged forward by her while walking and pondering inside, although I unexpectedly obtained the necromancy system's highest level profession, Bloodless Tearless 1. But relying on this alone, the odds of killing Private Tyrant are still very low. However, fortunately, lowly war goddess wants to thank me with magic tools. With this assistance, my success rate of killing Private Tyrant can directly max out. Lowly war goddess bounced along without any propriety. The vice principal behind sighed, telling her to maintain some principled dignity. Lowly war goddess turned back to refute, saying dignity is the bad custom of aristocratic society, also complaining the vice principal gets more nagging after aging. I leaned toward the Holy Knight, softly asking how the principal differs so much from the legendary war goddess image. The vice principal nearby happened to hear, helplessly and apologetically shaking her head, saying sorry, she's always been like this. I nodded, expressing understanding, just about to tease a bit, when I heard lowly war goddess say we've arrived. She told me this place hides many treasured magic tools, perfect for cursed me. Then suddenly leaned close, gripping my hand, saying she wants to date me alone. After speaking, she quickly glanced at the vice principal behind, playfully adding, don't worry, she won't really do that. Then nimbly pushed open the heavy warehouse door. The door shaft let out a dull, creaking sound. The warehouse instantly transmitted various colored magic tool halos. I rejoiced inside. So far everything is going very smoothly, can immediately go hunt Private Tyrant. Arriving at the stable, I patted the fine horse Philip, showing off my new equipment to it. Equipped with a full S-rank set, with this level of quality I won't lose anywhere I go right. Philip affectionately licked me, seemingly agreeing I look handsome. The Holy Knight appeared, saying with our current relationship, I'm leaving without saying goodbye. Too heartbreaking. Her eyes flowed as she softly invited me to walk with her again. The two walked side by side. She gazed at distant tree shadows, softly saying clearly we've only known each other briefly, yet I always feel like an old friend she's known for long. Whether fighting the half-orc army or battling perverted demon to the death, I really did so much for her. Warmth rose in my heart as I smiled, responding, clearly she helped me much more, thank you for recognizing me so much. Plus, I'm not coming back, just temporarily going out to handle urgent matters. We'll meet her again soon. The Holy Knight stopped, turned her head staring at me, a thread of probing in her eyes, asking if I'm not curious about her appearance hidden under the helmet. I quickly explained, saying I feel she definitely has her own reasons, so I didn't deliberately ask. The Holy Knight lowered her eyes, saying this helmet is actually used to cover a large scar, that's a mark left after receiving a curse. She also doesn't know what that curse is exactly, but Uncle said it can't be known by others and must be covered. So for so many years she's always worn this helmet, never removing it before others. Also, precisely because of this, many people who don't understand the situation privately call her Ugly Knight. After finishing, she lifted her head, asking if I want to see her appearance. Also blushing to add that although a bit nervous, If it's me, she seems able to muster courage to remove the helmet. I held my breath, eyes full of anticipation staring at her, heart pounding wildly. Her fingertips slowly removed the helmet. A delicate and beautiful face was revealed. The Holy Knight's cheeks flushed crimson, softly asking if she's an ugly woman. My cheeks instantly burned as I quickly covered my mouth, somewhat at a loss, averting my gaze. Seeing me not speaking for a long time, she urged me to say something quickly. I replied, flustered and panicked. Sorry, because she's really too beautiful. I was momentarily speechless. Hearing this, the Holy Knight's eyes instantly brightened, shyly counter-asking, really, saying that's wonderful then. I marveled inside. These 5 years I'd see the Holy Knight every day, but this is my first time seeing her with helmet removed. Just as I was lost in thought, she suddenly said she has something to give me, taking out a necklace from her chest. She handed the necklace to me, saying it's the Bayern family treasure her uncle gave her, proof that she's always with me. I gripped the warm necklace in my hand, warmth rising in my heart, a palpitation quietly spreading. Seriously saying I'll definitely treasure it well and never disappoint her feelings. The Holy Knight showed a brilliant smile, forcefully nodding, saying then it's settled. My cheeks still burned as I quickly changed topics to cover the palpitation in my heart, saying I really should depart now, telling her to go back first. She also quickly responded, tone carrying a thread of reluctance, telling me to go first. The two stood in place, mutually yielding, the atmosphere ambiguous and lingering. The system indicated hidden plot Bayern Elector family bloodline opened. Holy Knight's romance route officially opened. I was happy from dawn till dusk, the smile never leaving my mouth corners. My mood was so good I nearly flew up. Even the wind felt especially gentle. I actually opened the romance route with that wooden Holy Knight. Continuing like this, we might even get married, right? Just as I was happily fantasizing, I suddenly detected abnormal movement ahead. Looking at battle traces, Private Tyrant and Broken Horn Demon Lord's armies just had a big fight. Corpses scattered everywhere across the wilderness, bloody smell rushing into my nostrils, weapon wreckage and damaged armor scattered all over. My eyes sharpened as I drew the magic short sword. Need to carefully search this area, might be able to find Private Tyrant's traces. Just as I gripped the short sword firmly, the system notification in my mind rang. Magic short sword affected by item effects. New skill opened. My mouth corners curled into a smile as I activated the newly unlocked skill without hesitation. Shouting, bloodstained followers become my subordinates. Dark magic power surged, activating summoning. Countless vampires emerged from shadows, bowing to await orders. I issued the first task, have them search this vicinity inch by inch for Private Tyrant's whereabouts. I also pointed at the messy military uniforms and weapons nearby, having one vampire collect all these. These supplies, I'll use them where they're urgently needed. Deep night, in the dilapidated small city, Private Tyrant and several remaining subordinates hid in an abandoned house. He gnashed his teeth cursing, saying he, the magnificent Steel Elector, actually fell to this state. Will never forgive the Broken Horn Demon Lord and uncle. Private Tyrant snatched the emergency rations a subordinate tremblingly offered, without regard for image, wolfing them down ravenously. I quietly arrived following traces, stopping outside the house, loudly calling out, Your Highness, I've come to receive you. I'm the mercenary you met before, specially come to help you escape trouble. A subordinate said warily, Your Highness, it's dangerous. Better assess the situation first. Private Tyrant was already irritable. Hearing this, he flew into rage, viciously slapping across, cursing these useless things. This whole time, besides hiding, they've done nothing. Also spitting, saying they're lower-class trash like bedbugs, only knowing how to survive. The beaten subordinate covered his face, not daring make a sound. The rest also shrank their necks, not daring breathe heavily. Finishing speaking, Private Tyrant opened the door, suddenly rushed out, shouting toward my direction that he's here. I pretended enthusiasm, stepping forward 2 steps, face piling up, fake smiles responding. Private Tyrant thanked profusely, saying thank you for bringing him such reliable reinforcements. Indeed, only I'm loyal to him. Will definitely heavily reward me later. I replied flatly, saying no need to be so polite. Just as I finished, the vampires lurking behind me immediately surrounded him to deliver death blows. Private Tyrant was shocked, speechless, the gratitude on his face instantly turning to terror. I said coldly, now we don't need you anymore. Please go die. Private Tyrant's face turned iron blue with fury, then suddenly flung his scabbard away, the blade humming with fierce red light. He roared that he raised an ungrateful wolf who can't be fed. I scoffed, saying so what if I'm an ungrateful wolf? Even deliberately mimicking beast calls teasingly. Scum like him deserves to have his throat bitten through. Private Tyrant was thoroughly enraged, fighting spirit suddenly surging around his body, using Moonshadow sword art first form. Rising dawn slash. Silvery sword light like a breaking dawn crescent instantly swept across a swath of vampires. Amid screams, blood splattered. I looked at the fallen vampires, thinking using these cannon fodder clearly won't work. Fighting more will only waste the dark magic power in my body, so I raised my hand, signaling the remaining vampires to retreat. Private Tyrant's face full of mockery, saying watching his own cannon fodder die before his eyes made me feel bad. I snorted coldly in harsh rebuttal, saying I'm unlike him. I value every person's life. Saying this, I pushed off the ground with my feet, charging at him with the magic short sword for direct confrontation. While fighting, I marveled internally. Is this the Steel Elector's strength? Being being attacked by swordsmanship I used to love using myself. My heart really doesn't feel good. Private Tyrant's offensive grew fiercer, sword moves cunningly leaving no gaps. While crazily attacking me, he's still cursing me. I blocked horizontally with my sword, wrist turning to deflect the force while quickly counter-attacking. His sword tip suddenly sank down, stabbing straight at my lower abdomen vital point. I quickly dodged sideways, using the short sword to catch his blade, barely blocking this strike. Seeing the thrust miss, he quickly retreated several steps. After continuous exchanges for several rounds, he still couldn't gain advantage and began threatening with false bravado, saying if I keep opposing him, don't think about surviving in Imperial territory later. I raised an eyebrow, saying I've become quite close with the sisters at the convent, but Private Tyrant looked disdainful, loudly saying even if it's an armed organization he fears nothing. He took a deep breath, all his fighting spirit crazily gathering toward the sword, fiercely swinging his sword, using Moon Shadow Sword Art second form, waxing crescent slash, sword light falling to earth like a curved moon. But after finishing the move, stabbing pain transmitted from his core, I keenly seized his paws, raising my sword to fiercely attack his opening. Private Tyrant fell sitting on the ground in disarray. His body couldn't stop trembling, finally unable to even hold his sword steady. My eyes sharpened as I thought internally, this performance should end. I stepped forward and punched Private Tyrant, flying backward with one blow. Private Tyrant coughed up large mouthfuls of fresh blood, unwilling to roar that if he hadn't been injured before, a guy like me wouldn't be his match at all. Hearing this, I let out an ice-cold sneer, my eyes completely calm. He said he valued my talents and gave plenty of favors. I should be loyal to him, questioning why I must kill him. I glared at him furiously, listing his crimes one by one. First is not taking my advice seriously, leading to betrayal, because in his eyes, others are all ants, insignificant people with light words. Second is mercilessly abandoning everyone who fought for him, especially the Holy Knight. Third is selfishness, constantly sacrificing innocent lives around him, causing countless followers to end up with families destroyed and people dead. I harshly counter-asked if such a person deserves to be elector. Private Tyrant hastily argued those were all helpless choices made for the people. If he died, the people would have no one to support them, other electors would take the chance to divide up the empire. I laughed lightly, pretending to ponder a while, then slowly said this reasoning sounds somewhat valid. I pulled out a bottle of potion from my chest, saying if he accepts the proposal, I'll give him a chance to live. Private Tyrant's eyes instantly ignited with hope, hurriedly saying he agrees to any proposal. I crouched down, telling him to kneel and apologize to the Holy Knight. Private Tyrant nodded frantically, even saying he'd offer the Byron family 10,000 prolin in apology. I chuckled lowly, saying he agreed quite readily, casually tossing the potion before him. Private Tyrant quickly thanked me and grabbed the potion, tilting his head back to drink it all in one gulp. The next second his body violently shuddered, muscles all over twitching, face instantly turning deathly pale. I teasingly asked how the potion's taste was. His throat felt fishy sweet as he coughed up a large mouthful of black blood, using turbid eyes to stare at me fixedly, furiously cursing me as a liar. My smile deepened, saying this is poison snatched from perverted demon, can even kill demon lords. Private Tyrant was so angry his eyes nearly split, disregarding bodily pain to roar and lunge at me to kill me. I was prepared and nimbly dodged his lunge sideways. The lurking vampire Purple Knight beside took the opportunity to swing his blade and sever his arm. Private Tyrant clutched his severed arm, face full of incredulous astonishment, laboriously turning his head, gaze falling on the Purple Knight. After recognizing him as his former subordinate, he cried out in shock, asking how he's still alive, also saying tremblingly that day he clearly saw with his own eyes him torn apart by zombie dogs. The Purple Knight coldly responded that day because of being abandoned by him, he originally couldn't escape disaster, but later I gave him a second life, letting him be reborn as a vampire, so now he only serves me. Also saying because of Private Tyrant's arrogant selfishness, everyone constantly fell into deadly danger and died wrongly. Today let him apologize with death. A sharp warning prompt suddenly popped with a ding, the system asking if I'll let the Purple Knight kill the Guardian, also warning that once the Guardian dies the game likely cannot continue. I scoffed disdainfully. The game can't proceed? Just because of such a despicable guy? Forget it, who cares? I loudly urged the Purple Knight to act quickly. The Purple Knight swung his blade down. Private Tyrant died on the spot. The system sounded a siren, displaying Guardian killed. Hidden plot kill Guardian triggered. System indicated killing all Guardians can obtain profession Transcender, also saying, I've interfered with the world's will. Game difficulty massively increased. I laughed internally, suddenly raising my game difficulty. Looks like Great God Grid AI didn't expect me to do this. The instant the Guardian died, a special signal shot straight toward the distant planet above. Great God Grid AI looked at the monitoring screen, chuckling lightly, saying someone finally unsealed one seal after all, also teasing me across space that my facial expression is way too smug, telling me to continue being arrogant. After all, this game has only just begun. Great God Grid AI casually turned off the TV, turned and vanished. And at this time on my side, system notifications popped up continuously. Learned quite a few skills: Moon Shadow Sword Art S rank, Coral Princess A rank, +3 SS rank skills, Imperial Incitement, Mephisto's Acting, Great Leader's Majesty. I couldn't help sighing. Worthy of being elector, rewards are really good. 3 SS ranks, 1 S rank and 1 A rank each. Immediately Immediately after learned 2 profession-exclusive S-rank skills, Undead Recovery and Absorb Blood and Tears. This time strength skyrocketed another level. Too awesome. Looking at the equipment dropped beside Private Tyrant's corpse, I was a bit disappointed. How come only a common magic zipper bag exploded? I curiously reached out, wanting to open the zipper to investigate. Just as my fingertip touched the bag body, the zipper bag emitted fine electric currents all over. I instantly reacted, guessing this bag must be sealed by a special barrier. Might as well put it away first. Planning to go back and have lowly war goddess help unseal it. The system popped another important notification. Obtained Guardian's Essence, collect 5 to become a transcendent existence, but each Guardian killed weakens the world seal, preventing darkness. I pondered the connection between these two terms, clearly hiding quite a trick. In other words, before eliminating other Guardians, must first carefully judge pros and cons. Right now before me are 3 strategy routes: become Transcender and independently pursue the true ending, or join hands with other Guardians to oppose darkness, or find other methods not relying on Guardian Essence. Now I need to calm down and think this through carefully. At this time, the Purple Knight quickly stepped forward, bowing to report, saying he found the personal belongings of Private Tyrant's remnants. I picked it up for a look. Oh my, this thing is the main reward. I patted the Purple Knight's shoulder, praising his excellent work, casually asking if the other tasks he assigned before were completed. The Purple Knight responded he'd already dressed Private Tyrant's remnants in Broken Horn Demon Lord's army clothes per my requirements, completely made up like demon race. I snapped my fingers in satisfaction, praising, bravo, everyone's outfits fit quite well. From behind the distant ruins suddenly came weak begging sounds. Someone shouting as long as he's spared, willing to do anything. I raised an eyebrow, walking closer to inquire about the situation. The Purple Knight explained these are Private Tyrant's remnants who hid earlier, asking how I want to handle them. My mouth corners curled into a smile, instantly thinking of his use. Speaking since he said he's willing to do anything, let's spare his life. I leaned to his ear and whispered a few sentences, hoping Broken Horn Demon Lord will like the gift I'm sending him. Half an hour later, a column of brightly armored troops arrived at this place. The leading person suddenly raised his hand, signaling to stop advancing. Precisely the guard captain of Rose Demon Lord's direct forces. He solemnly instructed the subordinate beside to go forward and check the situation. The subordinate reported intense battle occurred here with Broken Horn Demon Lord's army. Also found a barely breathing casualty in the ruins. The guard captain immediately ordered subordinates to bring the casualty back to camp for treatment. At camp, the guard captain pressed the casualty. The Gold Seal decree was snatched? The casualty weakly nodded, repeating the story following the script I taught him, saying later they were surrounded by Broken Horn Demon Lord's army. He thought to at least save His Highness Private Tyrant, but ultimately couldn't do it. Unexpectedly, after hearing this, the guard captain showed regret and admiration, not only not blaming him for hiding, but praised the casualty for daring to persist alone to the very end. Such an attitude of swearing to protect his superior unto death is the knight's model. He turned shouting to subordinates, everyone listen up. This person used all his strength to protect his superior. Even though battle failed, knightly spirit still shines brilliantly on him, telling everyone to take him as example. Search all night tonight for His Highness Private Tyrant's whereabouts. Inside Rose Palace, under the gilded dome, the guard captain knelt on one knee, reporting to Rose Demon Lord, saying he pursued with full effort per orders. Although found Private Tyrant's traces, he'd already escaped in the chaos, whereabouts still unknown. Rose Demon Lord asked how the Gold Seal decree is. By her judgment, it should still be in Private Tyrant's hands. The guard captain lowered his head to apologize, saying it was snatched by Broken Horn Demon Lord's army. Rose Demon Lord frowned, saying just hearing Broken Horn Demon Lord's name makes her sick. The guard captain quickly bowed, kowtowing to apologize, requesting the Demon Lord impose punishment. But Rose Demon Lord waved her hand, saying forget it. What's more important now is recapturing the Gold Seal decree. Only by obtaining it can Private Tyrant be put back in the elector position. She's certain Private Tyrant isn't someone who'd easily die. She ordered the guard captain to send message to Broken Horn Demon Lord, telling him to obediently hand over the Gold Seal decree. Otherwise, wait to bear her Rose's fury. At Broken Horn Demon Lord's camp, Broken Horn Demon Lord was shocked until his voice trembled, eyes full of fear. He can't believe lowly war goddess actually revived. How could that monster like brat come back to life? His trap set back then was clearly so perfect. While irritably stomping, he fell into terrible memories. He still hasn't forgotten how that woman single-handedly broke into Number 8's camp. Without a word, eliminated all his subordinates, the terrifying scene of barehanded strangling Number 8's neck. He suddenly turned, asking the subordinate beside, know why she did that back then. Subordinates all shook their heads. He gnashed teeth, revealing the truth, just because Number 8's subordinate accidentally stepped on her snacks. After that, the demon lords all called that woman lowly war goddess. Extremely extremely wary of her. While Broken Horn Demon Lord was still anxiously thinking of countermeasures, a subordinate hurriedly came in to report. Rose Demon Lord sent a letter. Broken Horn Demon Lord irritably stomped, already being disturbed by the revived lowly war goddess, also complaining what madness Rose Demon Lord is going to have now, adding trouble. He impatiently yanked the letter over. After scanning the contents, his face suddenly turned iron blue, immediately shouting that crazy woman actually dares demand the gold seal decree from him. A subordinate besides seeing this carefully asked what happened. Broken Horn Demon Lord violently tore the letter to shreds, roaring another mentally unstable woman, actually demanding some gold seal decree from him. Not only didn't they get the gold seal decree, they even lost perverted demon while tracking private tyrant. The more he thought, the more wrong it felt. Lowly war goddess's sudden revival, plus the gold seal decree's disappearance into thin air. All events can only see results. Reasons behind all completely unknown. After hearing this, the subordinate frowned, hesitantly speaking, could there be a mastermind behind all this? On the other side, as the mastermind, I suddenly sneezed in the return carriage. The Purple Knight quickly asked if I caught a cold. I shook my head, saying no. He asked again how to handle Private Tyrant's corpse. I pondered a bit, saying revive him as undead. The Purple Knight's eyes lit up, saying then he'll become his junior. Really looking forward to it. I pulled out a scroll wrapped with golden thread from my chest, saying what's most important now is the document stamped with the Empire's gold seal, the Gold Seal Decree. The system immediately popped up saying, this is core proof confirming elector identity, possessing supreme authority. I turned my head, calling the Purple Knight, tone full of excitement, then laughed excitedly, telling him the entire world now belongs to me, ordering him to hurry back to the convent with me at full speed. That night, noble knights attacked the Bayern family's merchant corps. The merchant corps people were still calculating making a huge profit this time. Because of the Empire's economic blockade decree, this is their last money-making opportunity. But the next second, the corps chief suddenly fell dead on the ground. The second in command shouted, there's an ambush. Everyone quickly draw blades and be alert. A group of black-clothed people rushed out from both sides of the dense forest like ghosts. The corps guards quickly drew blades to meet the enemy. Both sides instantly entangled in combat, but the corps guards quickly fell into disadvantage. The black-clothed leader slowly walked out, teasingly saying, you merchants probably made quite a profit. All deals with Rose Demon Lord right. The second in command covered his arm wound, furiously questioning what exactly they want. The black-clothed leader was too lazy to waste words, raising his sword and swinging. A flash of cold light struck down the second in command, then had subordinates snatch all valuables from the merchant corps carriages. The second in command roared, asking if he knows where this money is going. The black-clothed leader let out a disdainful sneer, saying that has nothing to do with him. Also saying, feel free to complain to the Holy Knight. If capable, bring her uncle who holds overwhelming power in court to compete. And at this time, I'd already returned to the convent travel worn. The Holy Knight was carefully applying medicine to me. She also asked how exactly I got injured this badly, tone full of worry. Just then, lowly war goddess suddenly pushed the door open. The Holy Knight instinctively covered her face. She forgot she'd already removed her helmet. Lowly war goddess saw her true face clearly, instantly shocked with widened eyes, raising her voice in surprise, saying the Holy Knight actually removed her helmet, also exaggeratedly patting her chest, saying at her age can't take this kind of shock. After recovering, lowly war goddess smiled, saying she understands that feeling of not wanting to hide one's true face. Women are all like this, right? The Holy Knight's cheeks flushed crimson as she shyly lowered her head. Lowly war goddess turned, looking at me, tone becoming serious, saying the Holy Knight is entrusted to me. If I dare let her shed one tear, she'll cut me in half at the waist. She suddenly slapped her forehead, remembering something, asking if that private tyrant brat is already dead. I nodded, calmly responding, saying his corpse is now properly kept by my friends. Lowly war goddess clicked her tongue, tone carrying a bit of regret, saying that brat actually just died like this. She originally wanted to personally kill that scumbag herself. I stood up smiling, telling lowly war goddess I have a gift for her. Lowly war goddess immediately came over, face full of anticipation. I took out the gold coins obtained from private tyrant's remnants, telling her she can use this money to buy snacks. Lowly war goddess instantly got excited, eyes bright and shining, asking if I'm a savior, also saying I look super handsome. The Holy Knight at this time noticed the paper ball at the table corner, puzzled, asking what that is. I casually responded, seems like abandoned correspondence that didn't get destroyed in time. The Holy Knight bent down to pick it up and unfold it, surprised, saying it's actually secret correspondence between private tyrant and Rose Demon Lord. Lowly war goddess interjected, saying, because of tax allocation issues, the current emperor and Rose Demon Lord's relationship has always been tense. The emperor also specifically issued an economic blockade decree, currently detaining all items related to Rose Demon Lord's merchant corps. This also caused nearby knight families to go wild, taking advantage. Last night, the Bayern family merchant corps was attacked also because of this reason. Originally just power struggle between those two, but unexpectedly involved the Holy Knight's family. Lowly war goddess sighed, tone carrying obvious heartache, saying this is completely an undeserved disaster. Also saying recently the Holy Knight is mentally and physically exhausted every day because of family matters, even looking quite haggard. The Holy Knight's cheeks reddened slightly as she quickly waved, saying she's fine, telling me not to worry. I groaned internally. Things got even more troublesome. The Emperor's economic blockade decree actually evolved into a peak showdown between Bayern Elector and the Emperor. Late at night, I was about to sleep, when the Holy Knight suddenly pushed the door in. She brought some exquisite tea and snacks, wanting to chat with me. After sitting in the chair by the bed, she said with complex eyes, hoping I'd forget what I heard today, because this matter originally has nothing to do with me. I firmly refused, saying as long as it relates to her, I want to help however I can. The Holy Knight's face showed difficulty, saying things have already escalated bigger and bigger. If she accepts my help even for this family matter, she'll feel very bad about it. I fell silent for a moment, thinking internally the Holy Knight will become very powerful late game, but she's currently inexperienced with too soft a heart, needs someone to support her. So I reached out gently, holding her hand, seriously saying this matter is indeed huge for me as a mercenary, but I truly want to help her. Mercenaries also have unique connections and uses. The Holy Knight still bit her lip, declining, saying she doesn't want to trouble me further, but I interrupted her words, confidently pointing at myself, saying this little matter can't stump me. The Holy Knight was both annoyed and amused, saying I'm still joking at this time. I put away my smile, saying earnestly I'm not joking at all, also adding that I'm not completely without confidence. The Holy Knight questioned this can't be solved just with confidence. The next morning, as soon as dawn broke, I strode boldly, pushing the door open, walking through the convent's corridor with imposing momentum. The nuns thought some urgent major event happened, all looking sideways. I walked straight to Lowly War Goddess's room, pushing the door open without knocking. At this time, Lowly War Goddess was hugging a pile of snacks, eating with relish. I excitedly approached her, saying that magic zipper bag, originally in Private Tyrant's hands, besides the previously expected items inside, also hides countless gold coins, also egging her on that opening it now might get double rewards. Want to try it now? Hearing such good fortune, Lowly War Goddess immediately put down her snacks. Before long, she easily unsealed the special barrier on the bag, instantly pouring out massive amounts of gleaming gold coins, blinding bright. I pointed at the leather gloves she handed over, asking what this is. She said, that's the magic zipper bag's improved matching gloves. With them I can directly conjure wanted things from my palm. This is my first time seeing such a magical item, rejoicing internally. Convenient bug-level items, of course the more the better. On the road to Prussen, I tried using the gloves to conjure water to drink, but the Mount Philip suddenly stopped abruptly. I puzzledly patted its neck, asking why it stopped. Philip then raised its front hoof, pointing toward the front direction, only seeing colorful balloons and streamers floating above the city gate. So we've arrived. Before me, a dark mass crowding various races, burly beastmen, pointed-eared elves, and stocky dwarves. The crowd's laughter interwove together, bustling and lively. I joined the queue, slowly shuffling forward with the crowd. After a long time, finally successfully stepped through the city gate. That tired yet relieved feeling, like queuing 3 hours to finally squeeze into a popular theme park, exhausted yet relaxed. People on both sides of the street continuously came forward, greeting warmly in unison, "Welcome to the city of the Great One." I sighed internally. This place is still the same as always. This is a rare city on the entire continent where various races coexist harmoniously, and the Great One they mention is the renowned Spy Demon Lord. Spy Demon Lord, with vast knowledge and outstanding eloquence, allowed different racial cultures to harmoniously coexist, considered the representative pro-human faction demon after Rose Demon Lord. At the same time, he's also a key figure who can provide crucial help in this incident. No matter what, I must smoothly meet him and seek his assistance. Suddenly, a goblin darted out from the street corner, coming forward, bowing respectfully, saying, "Hello, extraordinary adventurer with exceptional bearing." I tilted my head, puzzledly examining it. The goblin quickly bowed again, saying the aura on me is truly impossible to ignore. My heart suddenly stirred. Could it be because of the new skill? The skill panel appeared. Great. Leader's Majesty SS rank. I thought this skill is really good, definitely will be very useful in the future. I stopped beating around the bush, directly stating my purpose to the goblin, saying I came specifically to find Lord Spy Demon Lord. The goblin's eyes lit up, tone exaggerated, saying the two lords are like two massive objects mutually attracting and destined to meet, also saying he was just about to find that lord and willing to take me there along the way. Under the goblin's guidance, we quickly arrived at the castle, passing through the carved corridor, smoothly entering an elegant reception room. The goblin respectfully bowed, saying please wait, he'll go to the back kitchen to bring me hot tea. The system notification sounded. Skill Great Leader's Majesty proficiency increased. People begin noticing my charm. Proficiency level 1. I muttered, puzzled. Only level 1 now? Then how did this goblin notice me just now? Definitely something fishy. I instinctively looked around, instantly shocked by the room's scene, actually filled with artworks using Spy Demon Lord as model. This guy is really narcissistic. Before long, the goblin quietly came in carrying tea. I couldn't help complaining, nearly scared me, make some noise when walking, also casually making conversation, asking what urgent matter brings him to the castle specifically. The goblin smiled with a face full of happiness, saying he came to report his marriage to the lord. I thought internally, in this whole city, only he doesn't call Spy Demon Lord the Great One. This abnormal detail made me alert. Looks like I need to test his background. I deliberately asked, then the ring on your hand is the wedding ring, right? The goblin proudly raised his hand high, saying, aha, you actually discovered it. Truly worthy of being an extraordinary adventurer, this ring cost him a full 10 years' salary. I sneered internally, is that so? I took a sip of tea, smiling, saying, Lord Spy Demon, Lord, your acting is really good. The goblin's face changed slightly, counter-asking what I'm saying. I pressed step by step, saying that ring, isn't it Lord Spy Demon Lord's favorite ruby ring? Plus, I'm just an ordinary mercenary, yet you immediately praised my extraordinary bearing. This story is too suspicious. Most importantly, you didn't use the Great One to address the Demon Lord. Can only mean you are the Demon Lord. Spy Demon Lord simply shed his disguise, body slowly transforming, tone calm, saying, I'm indeed, as described in intelligence reports, sharp intuition. He got straight to the point. That's right, he is Spy Demon Lord, asking if I came to find him because of Lady Holy Knight's matter. He bluntly said he thinks I should possess some useful intelligence. I thought internally, I knew he'd mention intelligence first, and I'd long figured out how obsessed he is with all kinds of knowledge. After all, he's the super-intelligence pervert who'd even pay to inquire about the Emperor's underwear color. I cheerfully responded, saying I indeed know some intelligence he'd be interested in. Not only secrets about himself he doesn't even know, but also future Continental War development trends, even guaranteed profit real estate investment information. Just ask, I know all the answers. Spy Demon Lord smiled slightly, throwing out conditions, saying please be his friend. I agreed on the spot without even thinking. Only after reacting did I look at him with a face full of bewilderment. He unhurriedly explained, does I know I'm about to become the Empire's hot topic figure? Topics related to me, including defeating perverted demon, and my intimate relationship with that serious holy knight, etc. Maintaining good friendship with me, he should gain quite a few exclusive benefits from it. I frowned, puzzled. Then how to prove we're already friends? Spy Demon Lord handed over a ring, saying please accept this. This is a custom-made communication ring. From now on we can contact each other with it any time. I thought uneasily. He looks like a calculating character who'd smile telling a friend who failed exams many times you should study harder, actually wants to be my friend? Spy Demon Lord ignored my conflict, continuing that as a symbol of friendship, he can provide intelligence I'd be interested in. Just as he finished, he thought of a crucial clue. I quickly leaned forward, urging, speak quickly. What clue? Spy Demon Lord slowly said the clue is in Saxon Territory's capital. Hearing this, my memory suddenly uncontrollably flashed back to previous gameplay scenes. I arrived at Saxon Elector Territory's capital. Soldiers blocked ahead, sternly demanding who I am. I activated Skill Great Leader's Majesty, pressure instantly spreading. Soldiers instantly hugged their heads, falling to the ground, wailing. With just this one skill, I controlled the situation. I just solemnly shouted ahead to move aside. All along the way unobstructed. Passers-by along the route dared not object. All knelt in submission, crying and begging for mercy. Inside the merchant corps, a subordinate frantically reported to the corps chief, saying an extraordinary person is walking toward the merchant corps, about to arrive any moment. Just as he finished, I directly pushed the door and entered. Seeing this, the corps chief fearfully stood up, asking how such a person would grace this place with presence. I got straight to the point, saying I came to make a deal with him. But twisted melons aren't sweet after all. Simple pressure didn't gain the trust I wanted. The memory abruptly stopped. I came back to my senses, hearing Spy Demon Lord say Saxon's merchant corps and the offending knight family are debtor and creditor connected by massive debts. If this relationship can be utilized well, can easily resolve the holy knight's current predicament. I was shocked internally. This is intelligence I completely didn't know, worthy of being the guy who suppressed me with information warfare in my countless previous attempts. His intelligence network actually spans every corner of the world. Intelligence capability truly top tier, truly worthy of being Spy Demon Lord. Spy Demon Lord looked at me, saying from my expression, should be very satisfied with this intelligence. However, he has another piece of intelligence that can let me easily gain the corps chief's trust. I followed this intelligence, this time approaching the corps chief in a different way. At this time, his daughter was mysteriously critically ill. I came as a physician to treat her. The corps chief immediately respectfully called me extraordinary adventurer, quickly introducing his daughter's condition. He told me with reddened eyes his daughter was a very lively, healthy child not long ago. But suddenly one day she began rapidly losing weight, weak without any strength. He found all famous doctors on the continent to treat her, but everyone was helpless. If this continues, he truly fears losing his only daughter forever. He knelt on the ground sobbing, begging me to help. The elderly him cried with streaming tears. I comforted, saying I'll definitely help him. I also came specifically to find him for a deal precisely because of this matter. The corps chief looked at me with urgent face, waiting for more. I took a deep breath, walking close to the bedside to observe carefully. Just looking with naked eyes could tell his daughter's state is very poor, obviously reduced muscle mass plus inexplicable continuous low fever. Very clearly, using ordinary herbs absolutely cannot cure this strange illness. However, I changed direction, saying there's one method that can completely cure her illness. The core chief suddenly clenched his fists, voice trembling, asking what method. I slowly spoke. To heal her requires spirit medicine from Magic Dragon Canyon. The core chief instantly went limp by the bedside, despairingly saying, how could this be? This method is equivalent to saying she's beyond cure. I thought internally, that's right, in this world, Magic Dragon Canyon represents impossible, though the massive canyon is famous for beautiful scenic wonders. But this is the exclusive territory of magic dragons. Deep in the canyon lives one of the continent's remaining ancient dragons. Its strength is unfathomable. Even demon lords dare not easily compete with it, and the canyon ruled by it also has countless ferocious high-tier magical beasts entrenched. In other words, that's a place of mortal danger. So for ordinary people, wanting to enter that canyon is originally an impossible goal. Of course, this only applies to ordinary people. I patted the core chief's shoulder, tone certain, saying, I'll obtain Magic Dragon Canyon spirit medicine for you. The merchant core chief's eyes reddened, about to decline. I immediately activated the skill Mephisto's acting. This skill can deceive and move opponents with demon-like realistic performance. The merchant core chief instantly froze, the refusal stuck in his throat. I told him sincerely what his daughter needs most now isn't any spirit medicine, but rather a father's sincere love and determination to entrust hope. The merchant core chief instantly broke down, crying, choking, asking what he can do to help me. I changed direction, cutting to the point. Heard a knight family owes them a massive debt. Can this debt relationship be transferred to me? The merchant core chief was startled. I stared into his eyes, activating the acting skill again. After all, for him, this is just a small favor. For his only daughter, he'll agree. At this moment, the daughter on the bed weakly murmured, Daddy. The merchant core chief's mind instantly flashed with images of his daughter happily calling Daddy before, and her throwing herself into his arms, saying, when I grow up, I want to be Daddy's bride, in spoiled tones. He gritted his teeth, eyes red as he roared at me. He agrees. The instant the deal was struck, I left the room, mounted, and departed. After smoothly entering Magic Dragon Canyon, I couldn't help slowing my pace to admire. The pristine scenery is truly marvelous, everywhere exuding the unique aura of a secret realm. Suddenly, I spotted a peculiar plant by the roadside with leaves glowing green. I bent down to pull it out and brought it before Philip. Philip curiously extended his head to smell it, then ate it in large bites. The next second, the system notification sounded. Philip's ability values greatly increased. I smiled, saying thanks to the powerful guard uncles stationed in the canyon, bad people and evil demons can't easily break in, allowing these herbs to grow intact. So even taking the ordinary weeds here outside would become valuable medicinal materials. In other words, everything in this canyon, even the soil underfoot, is treasure. This place is simply a natural mobile treasure mine. I crouched down, bending to dig out a medicinal herb with pale golden roots, instantly overjoyed. Isn't this the special medicine I'm looking for? As expected, digging anywhere can unearth treasure, can save the merchant core chief's daughter and make money, simply killing two birds with one stone. Just then, a rock suddenly hit my head. I grunted in pain, covering my forehead and glaring furiously at the source, only to see a group of goblins blocking ahead. They bared yellowed fangs, growling lowly. Human, get out! Saying this, they uniformly raised wooden sticks and stone axes surrounding me. However, before long, I used my strength to make them obediently squat on the ground, helping me dig herbs. While I leisurely sat aside drinking juice, a reckless goblin accidentally broke the herb's root. I instantly frowned, face darkening, sternly rebuking, telling these guys to dig seriously. I pointed at the intact herb, demonstrating, must clean the roots like this, absolutely cannot damage the roots when digging. If they continue being so perfunctory at work, I might bury them back in graves. Rewinding 1 hour, that brief confrontation with goblins had just begun. The system happened to prompt the latest skill, Absorb Blood and Tears proficiency increased, facing the goblins' aggressive encirclement. I immediately showed my skills, activating the skill Absorb Blood and Tears. All goblins instantly went limp on the ground, all strength drained by me losing resistance. My mouth didn't forget teasing. They foolishly rushed up to give away kills. Then I coldly shouted at the goblins on the ground, ordering them to get up. The goblins cowered, opening their eyes, tremblingly rising one after another, obeying my every word, completely unable to resist, then became free laborers helping me dig herbs. I looked at the goblin chief, bowing and scraping to serve me, leisurely swaying the juice cup in my hand, asking it clearly knew it couldn't win, why still insist on provoking? The goblin chief quickly bowed, kowtowing to beg mercy, saying it's all their fault for being blind, not discovering my lord's power in time, also thanking me for taking in lowly them. I waved my hand, saying enough. I should thank them for helping me work, and asked them to tell me about who else is in this canyon besides them. The goblin chief quickly responded, saying in this canyon, besides them goblins, countless magical beasts also live, like werewolves, giant worms, giant centipedes, plus quite a few brutal ogres active in deeper areas of the canyon. I nodded approvingly, saying making it my temporary confidant was truly the right choice. The goblin chief was flattered, quickly bowing to state this is his honor. Suddenly, the communication ring on my hand lit up. Spy Demon Lord's voice came from the ring, asking if I already forgot this is the communication ring he gave me. I responded flatly, saying I indeed forgot. Spy Demon Lord chuckled lightly, saying I'm really good at joking, then changed direction, asking how I'm doing at Magic Magic Dragon Canyon. I thought internally this guy's information is truly well informed, even knows exactly where I am. I casually answered, the weather here is nice, gentle breeze, the moon is also beautiful. Spy Demon Lord's tone was cheerful, saying Prusen is preparing a festival, telling me to come play when I have time. Then he solemnly mentioned the Holy Knight already went to visit that offending knight family. Just as I predicted before, the other party not only demands the Holy Knight pay a huge settlement, but also wants to detain items she uses to trade with Rose Demon Lord. Anyway, all unequal harsh demands. Spy Demon Lord also added this should just be the beginning, later there'll probably be more trouble. My eyes sharpened, telling him to first relay to the Holy Knight, have her show willingness to accept the agreement, but drag out time as much as possible. Don't easily agree to any substantive terms. Spy Demon Lord readily agreed, saying given my special relationship with him, this small matter is of course no problem. I added that after I return from the canyon, I'll definitely send him generous thanks. Spy Demon Lord chuckled lowly, saying he's already looking forward to it. Then first cut off communication. I sighed helplessly. Alas, for the Holy Knight's sake, I can only endure Spy Demon Lord for now. Just hung up communication when the Goblin Chief ran over in panic, shouting hoarsely, my lord, big trouble. I frowned, asking what happened. Before finishing, I detected something wrong. Only seeing a group of massive ogres walking from deep in the canyon, instantly surrounding us completely. The Goblin Chief was so scared his legs went soft, trembling all over. I solemnly told it to step back, but it already couldn't move. I could only reach out, pushing it behind me to safety. Gaze sweeping over the goblin soldiers already scared unconscious on the ground. I muttered internally, really, useless. All fell down. I thought with absorbed blood and tears current proficiency, definitely can't control these ogres. Even summoning undead would only become weak soldiers like goblins, completely useless. At this time, the retrieval glove on my hand suddenly lit up. My eyes instantly brightened. Perfect. Take this chance to properly stretch my muscles. Immediately urged magic power, activating the retrieval glove, palm flashing golden light. I directly retrieved a cold gleaming longsword. That's one of the Empire's 12 famous swords. The private tyrant family's heirloom treasure passed down for 200 years, can also greatly increase Moonshadow sword art proficiency. The ogre seeing this roared wildly. I gripped the longsword, laughing loudly. Looks like they also see how powerful this sword is. Foolish private tyrant actually left such a divine weapon gathering dust in storage, choosing other flashy decorative swords instead, truly wasting heavenly gifts. I focused gathering strength, using Moonshadow sword art form 0 moonless light. A nearly transparent sword light flashed past, first injuring the foremost ogre. They looked utterly shocked, clearly didn't expect human speed would be this fast. I took advantage, pushing off with my feet, attacking the ogre group at high speed. My form like a ghost shuttling, movement so fast ogres couldn't see the trajectory at all. Silvery sword light flashing back and forth in the demon group, accompanied by waves of piercing wails. One after another, ogres successively fell injured. The last ogre panicked, looking everywhere but couldn't find my whereabouts. Actually, I'd already leapt above its head, suspended gathering power. The sharp long sword fiercely slashed down from above, instantly slaying it on the spot. After the dust settled, the Goblin Chief quickly trotted over, face full of fanatical worship. I laughed proudly, haha, this is nothing. Thinking now can only persist 30 seconds, but I used to persist 10 minutes. The Goblin Chief immediately echoed, my lord, you're simply too amazing. Then honestly added, wow, my lord, your nose has grown longer than mine. Just then, a cold female voice suddenly rang out, asking if this devastation everywhere is my doing. I whirled around to look, only seeing a woman standing not far away. I instinctively stepped back, muttering internally I actually had zero awareness of her arrival. I was about to activate magic power again using Moonshadow sword art to seize initiative, but the opponent's sharp claws already struck like lightning, tightly pinching my neck. The woman's tone was ice cold, saying she'll directly twist my neck off. I struggled desperately but simply couldn't break free from her restraint. Her wrist suddenly exerted force, like throwing garbage, flinging me fiercely toward the tree trunk behind. The system instantly popped red warning, suffered intense attack, HP only 10% remaining. I covered my chest, coughing blood, cursing internally, damn it, one move left me with this little health. She looked down, questioning why I'm brazenly causing havoc on her territory. I forced my body to sit up, enduring intense pain to speak, telling her to first introduce herself. The woman said my attitude is really rude, then calmly announced she's Magic Dragon Canyon's master. My pupils contracted sharply. She's actually the Magic Dragon? When playing games before, she was always in majestic dragon form. How did she become human now? My heart full of confusion. Why does this game deviate from original settings everywhere? Only seeing the magic dragon lean close, golden vertical pupils carrying cold scrutiny. I suddenly felt another dimension's aura. Shocked internally, what's happening? Why is this guy breaking the dimensional wall? The magic dragon accused me of being presumptuous and rude. Today I must die. The Goblin Chief beside mustered courage, stepping out, spreading both arms blocking before me to protect me. The magic dragon impatiently raised her scale-glowing claws, attacking the goblin, about to crush it. I quickly shouted for her to listen to me first, but the magic dragon snorted coldly, saying communication with trespassers is originally useless. useless, kicking the goblin aside, attacking me. At this critical moment, I shouted with all my strength, "Lord Magic Dragon, if I die, you'll die too." Hearing this, the Magic Dragon's movement completely froze, full of confusion, asking what I mean. I steadied myself, forcing myself to calm down, saying I once saw her dying miserably in prophetic dreams. Hearing this, the Magic Dragon frowned, clearly not believing this absurd story. I quickly added she can directly check my memories to verify. The Magic Dragon stood silent for a moment, then waved her claws, coldly throwing down harsh words, saying the price of lying equals death. I quickly nodded, agreeing. She activated special skill. Originally sharp claws slowly transformed into human palms. Her palm gently touched the top of my head, also adding that even nodding to conceal halfway also equals death. I quickly responded repeatedly, saying I know. The Magic Dragon immediately activated memory reading ability, consciousness forcibly breaking into my memory fragments, her divine sense rapidly browsing through memory images, after a long while finally murmuring, "So I'm just an ordinary human," also saying too many memory fragments, need to view more to verify. I quickly used mental power to stop, saying no need to see all, just look at this key segment. The Magic Dragon frowned dissatisfied, again rebuking my presumptuousness, also complaining memory images too blurry, usable material also unclear. When she finally saw clearly deep in memory that image of herself lying dead in a pool of blood, her pupils sharply contracted, incredulously asking if this is real. I took the chance to forcibly eject her divine sense from my memory space. My back instantly seeped cold sweat. Just now was really close. If she kept looking, my previous gameplay memories would be completely exposed. The Magic Dragon confirmed that was herself, full of questions asking who killed her. She stood silent for a moment, tone rarely softening a bit, saying thanks for my reminder. As repayment, she can spare my life, telling me to immediately leave here. But I shook my head, saying I won't leave, proactively proposing to make a deal with her, also saying her name is too long and hard to remember. From now on, I'll just call her Magic Dragon. The Magic Dragon's eyes instantly turned cold, sternly accusing my tone as too presumptuous, counter asking if I want to die. I quickly waved, explaining, as long as she listens to me, she can definitely survive. The Magic Dragon let out a disdainful snort, saying she's an ancient being who lived 3,000 years. Why should she listen to a human? At this time, the system prompted, "New quest updated." Magic Dragon's trust triggered, but due to abnormal quest update, game difficulty partial modules automatically increased. Just as the Magic Dragon and I were endlessly pulling back and forth with this baffling communication, outside the canyon in the dark dense forest, an aura even heavier than night was quietly spreading. A black-robed figure was holding his head high, using a tone full of majesty to announce his identity. He is the Lord of the Abyss, depths darker than darkness, King of Chaos and Disorder, three-eyed Demon Lord. A subordinate beside didn't read the timing, hurriedly stepping forward to report, "My lord, we're almost there," directly interrupting his entrance lines. Three-eyed Demon Lord erupted in fury on the spot, sternly roaring, scaring the subordinate to quickly kneel, kowtowing repeatedly to apologize. After sitting down, he turned to gently greet a woman in ice crystal armor behind him. Ice Queen slowly stepped forward, respectfully saluting Three-eyed Demon Lord with humble posture. She smoothly mentioned he once promised her, as long as this expedition successfully completes, he'll fulfill one wish for her. Three-eyed Demon Lord grinned, saying, "Don't worry, promise things, definitely won't go back on his word." Then turned to the multitude of servants behind, expression becoming stern as he formally ordered. This trip's ultimate goal points directly to Magic Dragon Canyon's depths. He frankly stated, "The magical beasts under the Magic Dragon aren't formidable, but the Magic Dragon herself is unfathomably powerful," telling servants to just devour everything seen along the way, stomp all the living harshly underfoot, the remaining tricky troubles, leave to him to personally handle. Then Three-eyed Demon Lord fiercely waved, ordering, leading his army, mightily advancing toward Magic Dragon Canyon's direction at high speed. And at this time in Magic Dragon Canyon, I was loudly calling assembly orders, although just now first encountered surprise attacking mutant magical beasts, then accidentally ran into Canyon Master Magic Dragon, wasting quite a bit of time. But our herb gathering mission can't stall here, still need to excavate as much canyon-exclusive precious medicinal materials as possible. I loudly encouraged the goblins scattered all around, telling them to quickly get in position, fully invest in herb gathering operations. After some busyness, I leaned against rocks, taking a long breath. The goblin chief quickly offered a cup of herbal drink. I took a light sip, couldn't help pondering internally, really didn't expect to suddenly run into the Magic Dragon during herb gathering. If not for those previous game memories, I'd probably already be a dead soul under the Magic Dragon's claws by now. This game from Private Tyrant's villain setting to the Magic Dragon's suddenly changed form design, all completely different from past experiences. But thinking again, the Holy Knight's true appearance is indeed stunning. My mouth corners couldn't help curling into a smile. Suddenly I remembered some key doubts, immediately summoned the system panel, opening main storyline to view. As expected, not just the bizarre encounter related to the Magic Magic Dragon. All events personally experienced during this time, all completely different from previous game versions, all brand new plot content never experienced before. My eyes grew serious. As the #1 ranked hero of human guardians, I absolutely couldn't mistake the Magic Dragon's appearance location. Where exactly is the problem? I suppressed the doubts in my heart, trying to sort through confused threads, the Elector and Broken Horn Demon Lord's struggle, Private Tyrant's uncle's betrayal, plus the Grandmother's superior and so on. These core main storyline plots haven't changed, but some key events contained within the main framework show obvious deviations. This is definitely not merely a new world. Why do these differences appear? Am I inadvertently missing some critically important information? Movement from nearby goblins interrupted my thoughts. The injured goblin quickly covered up, apologizing, saying he accidentally scraped while digging herbs. I instructed them to be extremely careful. If anyone damages herb roots, consequences at their own risk. Turning to look, I discovered these two goblins are actually brothers. I suddenly thought, big guy also has a little sister, a detail I never knew before. I suddenly slapped my thigh in realization, so that's it! At the Mercenary Corps victory feast, I no longer sat alone at the head position but surrounded everyone together, blending into the noise. From the squad leader perspective, I saw everyone's bonds, finally understanding the warmth hidden in the cheers, and the convent's principal and holy knight, also no longer separated from me by clear status barriers, became companions I could talk intimately with, because my position changed. The perspective viewing the world also became completely different. In previous game worlds, my initial character was the noble steel elector, later even inherited the Empire's emperor position. Even more the hero who saved the world, from the start possessing ability values as solid as mountains, but now, I'm just an ordinary civilian character without special talents. The only advantage is memory reserves from countless game experiences. Precisely because opening this brand new journey as a civilian, I could discover these warmth and details previously overlooked. Although the status gap is huge, but I could truly notice the emotions in others' eyes looking at me. Harvest those brief yet extremely sincere connections. Even fortunate enough to see the Holy Knight remove her helmet's true appearance. This overall encounter framework is similar to before, but in previous games, after repaying the Holy Knight, the plot ended, completely unable to know those hidden inside stories. I finally completely figured out the key to all this. That day, Great God Grid AI suddenly proposed the strange suggestion, saying if I join the new game, I can unlock clues to the true ending no one discovered. At the time, I just thought it was random system quest guidance. She repeatedly emphasized the clue's uniqueness, plus the strange universe space created. I didn't deeply investigate the profound meaning then. Also didn't understand the game suddenly opened civilian initial profession. But these clues are like Tetris, seemingly scattered, yet can piece together completely. Those were perhaps all tutorials guiding me to adapt to new perspectives. And now I should catch up with this brand new rules rhythm. The next second, the goblin chief ran over in panic, reporting, "The magic dragon is urgently looking for me." Just as it finished, a gust of wind swept over. The magic dragon quickly approached, expression urgent, indicating enemies already arrived. My eyes sharpened, mouth corners curling into a confident smile, silently sighing internally, thanks to Great God Grid AI for making the plot unfold as I expected. I suddenly felt this game full of variables becoming interesting. Alright, it's time to act. I already understand how to enjoy this brand new world. From now on, I'll fully experience every overlooked detail, fully enjoy this unknown journey. I shouted loudly, new strategy officially begins. The magic dragon and goblin chief watched my receding figure, faces full of confusion, not knowing what I'm excited about. In the distance came earth-shaking, magnificent momentum. Three-eyed demon lord led the Abyss Legion, killing to the canyon's edge. The demon lord raised his hand, releasing dark skill, chaotic magic power surging and spreading. Subordinates all roared, creating momentum, cheering and shouting for him. After a while, three-eyed demon lord's daughter, Ice Queen, beside him, raised her hand toward her father lord's direction, signaling, solemnly saying a formidable aura is quickly coming. And the next second, I steadily landed, standing opposite the Legion. Three-eyed demon lord glanced over, feeling before him is just one human and a group of goblins, completely negligible. Immediately after, thunderous booms echoed through the canyon. Before he could react further, the magic dragon's figure already appeared beside me. She looked up, scanning the Legion, scales flashing all over, tone carrying unquestionable dominance. "You trash, immediately get out of the canyon." But three-eyed demon lord didn't care at all, instead showing an arrogant smile, also saying he has a proposal she'll definitely be interested in. The magic dragon's refusal was crisp and clean. Three-eyed demon lord didn't mind, waving as the ground lit up with magic, teasingly saying this proposal is as attractive as the magic dragon's appearance. The magic dragon fell silent for a moment, turned her head, lowering her voice, telling me the plan starts now. Three-eyed demon lord immediately laughed loudly, mistakenly thinking the magic dragon wants to chat with him alone, also teasing she's shy. Before finishing, the magic dragon fiercely launched dragon breath attack with amazing amazing power. Two figures instantly shot into the sky, flying toward the distant sky. I already predicted Three-Eyed Demon Lord would suddenly make trouble. Just his speed arriving at Magic Dragon Canyon is much faster than previous game performance. After that, my face raised an exaggerated smile, sighing, "It's my honor to see the legendary continent's most beautiful person." Ice Queen, hearing this, slightly tilted her head, raised her hand completely, dispersing the ice crystal helmet above, revealing a breathtakingly beautiful face. Then she led numerous demon subordinates slowly stepping forward. I was internally vigilant. This character is definitely not simple. Based on players' different choices in the past, she could either become reliable allies or become the trickiest mortal enemy, and her strength far exceeds Broken Horn Demon Lord. I smiled, waving greetings, loudly praising Ice Queen in person is 3 points more beautiful than rumors. Suddenly a whoosh sound rang out. An iron spear suddenly pressed against my neck. A black-robed female subordinate quickly stepped forward, eyes vicious as a starving wolf staring at me. I looked up, signaling her to step back without changing expression, tone carrying undeniable pressure. "She's just an unqualified ordinary attendant. I want to personally dialogue with their princess." The female subordinate was enraged, immediately swinging her spear, launching fierce attack at my heart. The goblin chief immediately roared, lunging to block before me, glaring at that female subordinate, claiming, "If you want to harm my lord, kill me first." I patted its shoulder, saying it's grown quite a bit, not like when facing the magic dragon initially fleeing alone. The goblin chief looked utterly ashamed, quickly lowering its head, silently apologizing, expressing remorse for deserting before battle. I changed direction, gaze returning to that female subordinate, tone carrying mockery, saying goblins are much more loyal than her. Just as this tense standoff reached its peak, perverted demon suddenly appeared from shadows, whipping out a barbed whip, instantly trapping Ice Queen's subordinate. Everyone present showed surprised expressions. Clearly didn't expect such a sudden change. Perverted demon licked her lips, face hanging an evil smile, then suddenly pulled backward with force, violently yanking the demon trapped by the whip before herself. Purple Knight's form flashed like a ghost. Longsword's cold light swept past in an instant. The trapped demon already died on the spot, his eyes cold as ice, speaking to eliminate all people posing threats to me. Ice Queen's pupils slightly contracted, guessing they're vampires. I grinned, snapping my fingers crisply, laughing, praising her intelligence. Now our two sides' numbers, finally roughly even. I raised an eyebrow, casting sharp gaze directly at Ice Queen. Ice Queen raised her hand, recovering her helmet, her tone full of disdain, directly stating their elite demon legion. How would they fear our ragtag bunch? She loudly ordered, commanding everyone as action captain to completely annihilate us. As her words fell, the demon army immediately shouted, rushing forward. My goblins and vampires also refused to show weakness, all shouting, meeting the enemy. I gripped my longsword, directly swinging to face Ice Queen. Ice Queen immediately drew her sword, ice crystal sword energy wrapped in cold, directly slashing down. I dodged sideways, avoiding the edge, backhand using Moonshadow sword art, silvery sword light, and ice blade thunderously colliding. Blade edges crossing, sparks flying. We entangled dozens of rounds, actually evenly matched. Ice Queen praised I not only manipulate necromancy but can steadily block her chain attacks, a thread of approval flashing in her eyes. I slightly bowed, saying being praised by Her Highness Princess is also an honor. However, she actually addresses Three-Eyed Demon Lord as Father Lord. If her real father knew, probably would cry for it. Ice Queen's face suddenly changed, hand gripping the sword suddenly tightened, asking what I'm babbling about. I chuckled lightly, saying she's the only daughter of the formerly first-ranked Abyss Demon Lord, yet always following her father's murderer, recognizing the enemy as father. This matter spoken is truly laughable. Hearing this, Ice Queen trembled all over, eyes instantly became sharp as knives, clearly touched by my words at the most sensitive nerve. Ice Queen fell into memories. Her father was once the person she respected most in this world. Father always used gentle eyes to comfort her, also gave tribal demon companions full trust and tolerance. To her, father equaled happiness itself, but this beauty was soon ruthlessly shattered. Father was brutally murdered in a conspiracy. At the time, Three-Eyed Demon Lord saved her, calling her father his only lord and close friend in this life, also saying he hates those who acted, but currently outnumbered, telling her to temporarily endure. When timing matures will help her exact blood revenge. Memory ended. Ice Queen's eyes bloodshot, roaring, accusing me of insulting Three-Eyed Demon Lord, threatening to dismember me. I spoke calmly, saying she's truly completely blinded, then raised my hand, pointing, indicating her to look at the magic orb I took out. Ice Queen hesitantly stepped forward, gaze tightly locked on the magic orb on the ground. Meanwhile, high in the sky, Three-Eyed Demon Lord was teasing the magic dragon, saying this kind of canyon peak solitude is truly romantic. Even he's moved by this atmosphere. The magic dragon's tone ice cold, bluntly questioning him, killing the first-ranked Demon Lord. Why would the other's daughter follow him? Three-Eyed Demon Lord's face changed slightly, immediately denying vehemently. The magic dragon stated flatly sophistry and denial are useless. Everyone knows he's a traitor. Three-Eyed Demon Lord clicked his tongue, saying the magic dragon is more stubborn than he imagined. After several seconds' silence, he actually generously admitted the magic dragon was right. Just as he finished, the magic dragon activated skill. The image instantly projected from my side Three-Eyed's magic orb. Three-Eyed Demon Lord, completely unaware, still smugly speaking the truth, claiming that year's tragedy was all his doing, also boasting how cleverly he exploited the first Demon Lord's only weakness. Ice Queen stared fixedly at the holographic image projected by the magic orb, face full of unbelievable horror and despair, her hands violently trembling, longsword clanging, falling to the ground, her mouth muttering. Three-Eyed Demon Lord was father's most trusted subordinate. They were once close as sworn brothers. I rejoiced internally. This move worked. Before dealing with them, I asked if the Magic Dragon's lair has magic image projectors, then proposed using this to broadcast the truth of First Demon Lord's death, having her deliberately guide Three-Eyed Demon Lord to personally speak the truth during high-altitude confrontation. This is the plan we agreed upon beforehand, and now our plan is smoothly advancing. Ice Queen has completely lost all will to fight me. Instead, her legs went soft, heavily slumping to the ground. She can't believe the previous warmth and promises were all lies Three-Eyed Demon Lord performed. But the images presented by the Magic Dragon's magic orb definitely won't be fake. Mind flashing through warm, happy scenes once spent with father, Ice Queen's tears burst forth. At this time, numerous vampires already finished all demon troops. Perverted Demon bounced over to me claiming credit. I nodded approvingly, then ordered them to stand by. The real good show is about to begin.